This crispy chicken is from a taco place.
This crispy chicken is from a taco place? The taco place? Taco place. It comes in a burrito, too?
From your taco place, it's also a chicken place that's also a taco place.
Check out the all-new Blue and Orange store at the Boise State Hall of Fame. The Blue and Orange store has your best game day gear. We're talking jerseys, hats, bumper stickers, car flags, more than 4,000 hats on the hat wall. If you want the best Boise State gear, make sure you check out the Blue and Orange store online at theblueandorangestore.com or the all-new Blue and Orange store down at the Boise State Allen Noble Hall of Fame.
It's the fall kickoff sale at Lithia Ford of Boise. It's the best time to trade in and trade up to a new Ford truck or SUV with the room to haul your payload or playload. Visit Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
Bronco fans, the new Boise State trading cards are here, and you can only get them at Jackson's.
Start collecting them today.
Jackson's, let's go!
And final blade of grass. Done. And done. Who knew it'd take 2,007 man-hours to paint 47,962,053 blades of grass? Smells like game day. Whoa, it's not dry yet.
It's time for the Jackson's Postgame Show on Bronco Nation News. We're breaking down the game with highlights, interviews, analysis, and most importantly, you. Give your thoughts on the game in the ICCU YouTube chat, or leave us a message on the Signature Roofing voice box at speakpipe.com/BNN. The BNN Postgame Show is presented by Jackson's, where you can get a 99-cent 16-ounce coffee or refill with Let's Go Rewards. Need snacks or a cold drink? Visit one of the 300 Jackson's locations today. The title sponsor of Bronco Nation News is RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. For all your painting needs, check out RowPaint.com. Now, let's join the guys at the James Kitchen and Bar near Albertson Stadium for the Jackson's Postgame Show on Bronco Nation News.
All right, Bronco Nation, welcome on into the Jackson's Postgame Show. I'm your host here, Nathan Carroll, coming to you live from Boise, Idaho, where the Broncos took down New Mexico 41-25. A lot to talk about, a lot to unpack with this game. I'm sure many of you fans are in the comments and just so excited and so eager to talk about what transpired tonight. Stick around. We're going to do something a little bit different tonight. Obviously, we're not live from the James. We're going live straight from Boise State, the press box not too far behind me. And the goal tonight is that hopefully we'll be able to just stream live all of the interviews from Spencer and players as they go on. Hopefully be able to get you guys out of here a little bit earlier with it being such a late game. Figure if we can cut the post game from a 2-hour show to, maybe hour 15, it gets you guys to bed a little bit early. But get your comments into the ICCU chat here on the Jackson's Postgame Show. Would love to hear your guys' thoughts on the games. Like I said, I'm sure you've got plenty of thoughts. We'll be taking your thoughts. We'll be taking your comments from Boise State's 41-25 victory. Just a few stats right off the top that I figured we'd run through. Boise State outgains New Mexico 397 yards to 231 yards. Penalties were a big point of discussion. Broncos had 7 penalties for 50 yards in the game. I believe almost all of those came in the first half. Second half, things were cleaned up quite a bit in that department. Maddox Madsen went 21 of 31 for 226 yards and 2 touchdowns. Meanwhile, Dylan Riley led the way in the running game, 18 carries for 101 yards. Sire Gaines added 2 touchdowns on the ground. In the passing game, it was the Ben Ford show, had 6 grabs for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. Chris Marshall also had 5 catches for 70 yards. I believe all of that came in the first half as well for Chris Marshall. So quiet second half for him. We didn't get our hit for the first time this year. We didn't get our hit from the gambling column. Had a touchdown for Louder or Marshall. Those 2 led the way in targets, but weren't able to find the end zone. So like I said, let's get some thoughts. Let's get some comments here in the ICCU chat. A lot of good stuff here. O-line having more false starts than New Mexico is ridiculous. Yeah, I think someone noted that on Twitter, but there were a few cases where New Mexico looked like was jumping and had a false start that didn't get called, but they were calling them on Boise State for whatever it may be. Good old penalties, not great. The penalties for how big of an issue they were in the first half. And look, I had I won't call it viral, but contentious tweet on Twitter after the Notre Dame game where I said, look, a lot of the penalties tonight aren't big deals. They're ticky-tack stuff that some refs call, some refs don't. Look, tonight you didn't have the OPI, you didn't have the DPI. What you did have were the back-breaking penalties. In the first half, I counted 6 what I'd consider, sins, unforgivable penalties. 5 of them being false starts, and it may have been 4 false starts, and one of them being an illegal shift or an illegal formation, and then the penalty on Jane Virgin Morgan that extended the New Mexico Lobos' first touchdown drive. Just warmed down. That's a great way to describe it. I mean, that really is Boise State warmed down in the second half and was able to pull away after leading 17-10 at halftime, able to grab a 41-25 win. No creative play calling. New Mexico's horrible. BSU tackled on 21 late. Now, I'll say this about New Mexico. I don't think New Mexico's horrible. I don't think that's a genuinely bad football team. They boat raced UCLA, who's obviously got a Power 4 roster. UCLA was bad at the time, no doubt about it. But good teams boat race bad teams, and that's what they did. They showed pretty decent fight against Michigan to open the season, and that's a top 25 caliber team. So I don't think New Mexico is terrible. I don't think they're a bottom 3 team in the conference, but certainly not the best performance, particularly in the first half. Really sloppy first half. You have the special teams touchdown that gets given up on the kick return, and fans were coming out for Stacey Collins, and I think to some extent justifiably so after that one. You hate to see a big return, especially when it's been such an issue for the Broncos all season long. And then you have the penalty that I alluded to earlier on Jane Virgin Morgan that extended a drive that ended up leading to New Mexico scoring a touchdown there. And you go into half with a 17-14 lead when it really probably should be 21-0 lead, something in that ballpark, if you take care of some of those self-inflicted negatives. But I will say I thought Boise State did a great job in the second half. I thought they responded really nicely. The offensive line, which was getting eviscerated in the first half, 10 tackles for loss allowed in that first half. One of the New Mexico media guys let us know that their record in an entire game on the season this year was 11 against New Mexico State, and they racked up 10 in the first half. They finished the game with 11. I thought the offensive line, which had some issues in the first half, came out and had a really strong second half. I thought the play calling was a little bit more creative, not significantly so, but at least enough that in that first half, man, New Mexico was just guessing, and it seemed like they were guessing right every single time on some of their run fits. Some of those issues started to go away, and a lot of talk about Maddox Madsen. A lot of talk about Maddox Madsen and his performance today. Look, I thought the first half was not very good for Maddox Madsen, no doubt about it. To take 4 sacks when one of your biggest strengths as a quarterback is that you don't take sacks, you don't take negative plays. And look, the offensive line wasn't great, no doubt about it, but I thought at least 2 of those sacks were on Maddox holding the ball too long and tucking and running instead of trying to find space in the pocket. He settled down at halftime. I thought Maddox played much better in the second half. As I mentioned, finished 21 for 31, 226 yards and 2 touchdowns. It wasn't a great game, but if you watch the pregame show, I said it. I think this is a game manager Maddox game. Lean on the ground game, lean on your running backs, lean on the offensive line. And look, he made big throws when he needed to. That final touchdown pass to Ben Ford, that's a seed. That's a big time throw. Probably his only big time throw today, but I thought in the second half he did play much, much better. Continue to get your thoughts, your comments into the ICC YouTube chat. Stick around. We are going to have interviews with Spencer Danielson, interviews with some individual players as well after Spencer. We're going to be doing that live today. Going to be just doing something a little bit different. You don't have to wait the full hour to get to the end of the show after we can get them recorded and uploaded. We're going to just go straight to the media room where they will be streaming live. Great comment here from Boise Squid. That accidental botch field goal turned into a touchdown was epic. Best mistake all game. And look, I think for good reason. There's been a lot of criticism of Stacey Collins, and obviously you give up the kick return of a touchdown. That's on the special teams unit. No doubt about it. The special teams have been bad, no doubt about it. But that moment, I think, was a really big win for Stacey Collins in particular, because that's a tough play to execute. It's something that, I mean, those of you guys who played high school football know you practice it, right? If there's a muff snap, if it's a fumble on the on trying to get the hold down, you call fire. You have your two end guys go out on routes and you try to make a play with the holder. It's really hard to execute. And you go watch those plays happen all over the place in college football, time and time again. Guys are not executing it properly. You've got holders who just fall on the ball. You've got nobody out in space, so you've got a holder trying to outrun 300-pound defensive linemen. And for Boise State, they executed it to perfection. Oscar Doyle realized what was happening, gets up, rolls out, hits Troy Grizzle for the touchdown. I thought that was a sign of a really well-coached field goal unit in particular, right? It's clearly something they rep. It's clearly something that they've practiced. So for the special teams unit, you give up the 7 points on the kick return, but you steal 4 points on that play. Look, it's still a net negative. It's in my book, it's a minus 3 point performance from the special teams coaching in particular. But that was an encouraging sign. Ben Welch here, Boomer looked good. Yeah, I thought that's absolutely an encouragement, right? Colton Boomer and the kicking game has had issues this year, and we've seen issues in practice. So for them to come out and be able to execute in that way and knock through a couple of field goals, I think was really important. Got some game stats as well pulled up here so you guys can see. Like I said, 21 of 31 for Maddox Madsen, 226 yards. They outgained New Mexico 397 to 231, 7 penalties in the game. One thing that I noted, just 3.6 yards per carry when you adjust for sacks. So over on the right side of the screen there, they have the sack adjusted rushing yards and just 3.6 yards per carry. I really expected the Boise State ground game to be able to dominate today. New Mexico's defense is predicated on not giving up big plays, but they've been pretty liable to giving up chunk plays on early downs. Boise State never really got the running game going at a super efficient level. I shouldn't say never did. At the very end of the game, they got going a little bit with Sire Gaines and Dylan Riley, and we'll talk about their performance a little bit more here in a second. But, all in all, the running game was not quite as efficient as I was expecting it to be. And I do wonder if a part of it, and maybe BJ, you or one of our other fellow media members can ask about this. I wonder if there was a change of signs at halftime. I know that when you talk about sign stealing, everyone thinks of the Michigan scandal and it being illegal and this big thing. But the reality is coaches steal signs all the time in college football. And the way New Mexico was on a lot of those plays, guessing right on the way that their defensive line was flowing and attacking. I do wonder if they had gotten tipped off on some of Boise State's signs, and maybe Boise State made an adjustment in the second half, and that's what allowed the ground game to get going. Who knows? And maybe if you even ask, maybe there's no answer at all from Spencer Danielson on that one. But something that I did think was interesting. One other thing I wanted to point out there from the stat page, Boise State had 40 minutes and 48 seconds time of possession, completely controlled the clock, completely controlled the ball. That's one thing that I talked about in the preview article is that New Mexico, they don't want to give up explosives, and you'll be able to put together long drives, 7, 8, 9, 10 play drives against this New Mexico defense, completely dominated the clock. The defense, we'd be remiss, and I probably am failing a little bit as a host, not talking about the defense 13, 14 minutes into the show here. Defense absolutely dominates, holds New Mexico, like I said, to just 231 yards, comes out to 4.3 yards per play. sack adjusted. They ran the ball for just 2.6 yards per play. I really thought, I said it in the pregame, I said it in the preview, that I thought New Mexico, their run scheme's really good, and they're going to break open some rushing explosives. And it's been the biggest issue with this Boise State defense that no one's talked about. Dead last in the country coming into this game in terms of run explosives allowed, and they totally locked up today. The run defense was exceptional. Like I said, sack adjusted, just 2.6 yards per attempt, and you get the 3 turnovers, right? First play of the game, Jane Virgin Morgan forces a fumble. Broncos able to recover. You end up racking up 2 sacks in total, and then you get the 2 interceptions. You get the pick from Marion McCoy, which, I mean, just textbook coverage. Really excellent job by McCoy. Stacks the receiver, totally straps him, and then turns and makes a play on the ball. Like I pointed it out. That's teach tape stuff from Marion McCoy. And then you get the interception from Ty Benefield towards the end of the game. You know, Jack Lane throwing up a ball, trying to make a play. And defense was phenomenal, no doubt about it. Some advanced numbers for you guys in that vein. Now, some of this got a little bit wonky because of the garbage time at the end of the game. Mexico had just a 35% success rate. That's an excellent mark for Boise State's defense. Negative 0.13 EPA per play. It comes out at 24th percentile. And Boise State had a havoc rate of 15%. Havoc rate defined as any tackle for loss, which obviously would include a sack, forcing a fumble, a TFL, or a pass breakup or an interception. So they got their hands on the ball. Boise State defense made plays today. And I think if you're a Bronco fan, if you're looking for positives that you can take away, because certainly there were some things to be concerned about. The defense was absolutely phenomenal. It looked really good against a creative New Mexico offense. The defense was disciplined. I believe just the one the one penalty defensively on Jaden Virgin Morgan earlier in the game. The defense was phenomenal. And when the offense wasn't quite clicking and the special teams gives up a touchdown, the defense was dominant and not just kept Boise State in that game, but kept them in the lead to the point that once the offense started going, it turns into, at one point a 3-score game. Ends up being a 2-score game because of the touchdown at the end there. But as BJ's putting here in the chat, we'll be streaming Spencer Danielson and players live, so please stick around. As soon as we see Coach Danielson come over, we'll kick it over to BJ live from the press room and be able to hear from him live. So something a little bit different today, But let's get to some comments here in the ICCU chat. Just see what you guys have to say. Ben Watland, first half offense was rough. I think zero doubt about it. The EPA per play stuff, the success rate in the first half was not good. I didn't mean to click on this one, but Zabransky had 4 interceptions and a fumble. That is one thing that I was talking about pregame, that if you remember the 2014 season, Boise State started 2-2, and Grant Hedrick had 4 interceptions in 2 of his first 4 games and turned it around, able to make the Fiesta Bowl. Maddox Madsen, I thought, had a solid Grant Hedrick style game, right? Lean on the ground game and do just enough to be able to get you the win. Jesse Bywater says Sire had some solid runs, but most of his runs were less than 2 yards. I really believe Riley led by 3 times over Sherrod and 2 times over Sire, what I saw. Yeah, one of the big discussion points this entire season has been the running back conversation. BJ asked me about it in the pregame, and I said I think you have a split up top with Gaines and Riley, and then Sherrod becomes your third down back. And I think we saw a little bit of that today. Malik Sherrod got 7 carries, just 16 yards. Didn't look particularly explosive. I thought the vision struggled a little bit at times. And then the bulk of the carries, Sire Gaines gets 20, Dylan Riley gets 18. Dylan Riley had 18 carries for 101 yards, and then Sire Gaines 20 carries for 65 with 2 touchdowns. So today in particular, I mean, Dylan Riley's your winner. Absolutely had the best game of the running backs that were out there. He looked explosive, was breaking tackles, showed good vision. And I really think we're at a spot where Dylan Riley, I think, is starting to inch towards being the RB1 on this team. I'd say in more games than not, he's been the better back this season. And Sire Gaines still immensely talented. I don't think he's going away, but I think ideally going forward, you see a split with those guys. And right now, I think you're leaning towards Dylan Riley being that RB1 right now. He's been playing at a really high level, 18 carries, 101 yards again today for Dylan Riley. So although some disagree, Creamy Cold Boise saying Gaines is still RB1. Parker saying use Sherrod on the outside, no more up the middle. Yeah, I think that's the thing with Sherrod. I think you've got to get him get him the ball where he can succeed. He did have 3 catches tonight for 18 yards. I think he's really good on the screen stuff. I think he's really good out in space. But some of the stuff up to middle just hasn't been working quite as well so far, which is disappointing, right? Obviously, you know, we're there in spring practices, we're there in fall camp, and Malik Sherrod looked like one of the most explosive players on the team and hasn't quite translated to all of these games. Sick Modern saying, let Dylan Riley cook. You know, he's we've got some Dylan Riley fans in the chat. I'm with you guys right now. If I had to choose the rep share right now, I'd be saying call it 55-40 with Dylan Riley and Sire Gaines, and then, you know, let Malik Sherrod get some sweeps and some work as a slot receiver. I mean, he really is a special receiver for a running back. I think you have to use him here in that sense. Jesse got a question. Have a guaranteed deal from our coaching staff to get carries for transferring? Probably not. Probably not. My guess is it's more so just a case of Malik Sherrod practices really, really well, and I think they want to reward that. And look, sometimes when you're a fan, all you see is the games, right? So up to this point, you have gotten to see, you know, we're what, 6 games into the season. The Broncos moved to 4-2. You're 6 games into the season. You've seen 6 games worth of Malik Sherrod. These coaches have seen, you know, 5 practices a week leading up to each game, plus all of fall camp. They have such a larger sample size. And look, we've been there at the practices. You know, he dominates. He really does. And maybe it's just a matchup with Boise State's defense or the way that they run their practices. Good. Mm-hmm. And it looks like we've got a player interview here. Let's kick it over.
How about you, man, to get back on track?
Felt great. You know, them boys shed blood, sweat, and tears. And they deserve it. You know, all of us deserve it. I talked to the team. Coach allowed me to talk to the team Thursday, and I told them, let's just trust each other, trust the process, trust the fundamentals, and go out there and execute.
What was the reaction like from the team after last week's disappointing showing in Notre Dame?
We was hungry. You know, we tired of coming up short. You know, it's just at the end of the day, we got to lean on each other, trust the process, trust the coaching, and go out there, play for each other, play hard.
First half, I mean, obviously it was a close game. The second half, what'd you guys do to kind of pull away there?
Oh, we knew they was going to break. You know, our mindset and our ability is to oppose the run game, you know, oppose our will on teams, and that's what happened. It's going to take 4 quarters, and that's what took.
Spencer likes to say a lot, the toughest team wins. How true was that tonight?
You seen it for yourself. You know, downhill runs, physical. You know, O-line was hungry, running backs was hungry, receivers was hungry. Coach put the ball in our hands. We went out there and played physical.
Much is a part of the ground game sometimes. So, I mean, you guys kind of chip away, and then finally in the second half, you guys did break a few. But how important is it to stay with it until you get to that point where you can break them down? Oh, Coach James Montgomery always told us, you know, efficient to explosive. You knew we're going to take 5 yards, we're going to take 4 yards. And then later on, we knew that them 5-4s going to turn to 10-11. Them 10-11 going to turn to 20-30. And just going to keep going from there. And do you feel like you and Dylan are, you know, with your guys' workload together?
That we've been doing that. We've been doing that since we was kids. We've been doing that since high school. My job is to go in there, break them down. His job's to go in there and finish.
Most of the games this season, it's looked like a split-up committee backfield, but today you had a huge role. Can you tell me what that means to you?
I'm sorry. Can you say that one more time, brother?
For most of the games this season, it's been pretty much kind of a committee backfield, but today you had a huge role. Like, what does that mean to you?
It means a lot. You know, it just means that, like, the coach trusts the ball in my hands, and I'm just grateful to go out there and do what I can do for this team. You know, like, I'm a team-first player, and I just know that every time I step foot on that field, it's 100% effort for the team.
What can you say about your defense tonight? I mean, getting those 2 early turnovers, and obviously, you know, that they kind of did a really good job for you guys.
Oh, that's our defense, man. They always show up and show out. You know, them boys play fast, they play physical, and they play together. And Coach Chance, he do a great job with the defense, starting with the defensive front to the secondary. You know, it's just we just came together tonight, and they just came out early, swinging early.
You guys were really aggressive on 4th down tonight, 6 of 7. Just how much do you like it when you get to that 4th down situation and the coaches say, all right, let's go for it?
I love it. Keep us on the field, Coach. Keep us on the field. Put the ball in our hands. O-line know what time it is. The stadium know what time it is. Let's go get 1 yard.
What was working well in those situations tonight?
Physical and trust.
What stands out about Ben Ford to you?
Ben Ford, he's special. Ever since I've been here, he's just been doing the special things. Like, I call him Mr. Consistent. I just know that every time we put the ball in his hands, he's reliable, and I know he's going to come down and catch with it. I love Ben Ford.
I mean, he's an Idaho kid and all that he's been through, and I mean, he's got 5 touchdowns on the Blue this year. Like,
he deserved it. He deserved it. Out of all of us, he deserved it. You know, he battled through injuries. You know, he just keeps showing his heart on his team and his love for this team, and he just went out there and been special.
You know, being undefeated in Mountain West play, and obviously that's a big goal for you guys. I mean, that not to say make it easier after the Notre Dame loss, but just kind of refocusing in, knowing what's the goal still in front of you, and trying to take care of business in conference play. I mean, was that kind of the mindset coming into tonight?
Yeah, just one game at a time. Next play mentality. You know, that game's behind us. It only grown us. You know, it only brings us together, and we understand what's all in front of us. You know, we got everything in front of us, so we ain't gonna shy our head over no loss. We're just gonna come together, come back stronger.
You guys tied for the nation's longest home field winning streak tonight, 15 home wins in a row. Sellout crowd. I mean, just what's it like playing at home? And I don't know if you ever lost at home, I guess, but I mean, just what's it like in terms of just trying to knowing you're going to have this crowd behind you and how hard it is for the other team?
Man, I love Bronco Nation. Every time I step on the field, it's electrifying. And Coach D always mentioned us, like, protect the blue. You know, it's not even just protect the blue for this team, but for people who went through this program, people who played in this program. We protect the blue by all costs. Anybody who walks on the blue, we got to handle it. Sure. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Oh, all right. Thanks, BJ. Just heard from Sire Gaines in the post-game interviews. I'm sure we'll have another player come through here shortly. Those post-game interviews brought to you by Taco Bell. Thank you, Taco Bell, for supporting Bronco Nation News, for supporting Boise State. And, yeah, some really great comments. One thing talking about just defending the blue. Home win streak is up to 15 straight games. That is the most in the country, tied with Alabama. So, you know, one thing that I remember when Andy Avalos first got hired, a lot of people talked about protect the blue, and that kind of got lost in 2021. Ever since Spencer Danielson took over, obviously protect the blue's been a part of it, has not lost on the blue since Spencer Danielson's become the head coach. 15 straight in total, extending back into the Avalos era as well. Sire Gaines, man, I love one comment. I won't go up and find it, but talked about how he just bruises and breaks down opponents, and then Dylan Riley's in there to kind of clean it up and get the big explosive. And I think that's sort of where we're going with this running back room, a little bit of thunder and lightning, where Dylan Riley's your big play threat, and Sire Gaines is going to be your bruiser, your guy who's going to absolutely beat up a defense. One thing I wanted to talk about, there's been a lot of talk about the offense. I pulled up here the drive charts for Boise State in the second half. Once Boise State got the ball to start the second half, 11-play, 43-yard field goal drive. After that, 9-play, 75-yard touchdown. 9-play, 46-yard touchdown. 4 plays, 33-yard touchdown, and then kneeled out to end of the game. Credit to the Broncos offense, man. It was a rough start, no doubt about it. You get 2 prime opportunities with good field position to get points, and you come away with a field goal and a turnover on downs, but absolutely responded in the second half, was able to execute at a high level. And when you're scoring 24 points on 4 possessions in a half, you feel really good about that. So I thought the offense responded well, and the defense, like I said, man, they played really well. And think back through the season now, the Boise State defense played pretty well against Notre Dame, was dominant against App State, was dominant against Eastern Washington. USF, the defense played really well for most of that game, and it wasn't until the offense sort of continued to fall short that the defense started to show some cracks. And then you've got the Air Force game, which, look, Air Force puts up 48 on UNLV today, and it's a triple option scheme, right? It's a game plan you're only using once per year. I think we might have a really good Boise State defense on our hands that probably hasn't gotten the praise that they deserve, given how some of the game scripts have played out. But that was a pretty dominant performance by the defense today, holding a good New Mexico offense to just 10 points until garbage time, right? Because you got the kick return touchdown, and then the backups giving a touchdown at the end. So thank you guys all for coming to the Jackson's postgame show. Let's get to some more comments here in the ICCU chat, and we'll have an interview with another player here shortly. We'll kick it over as soon as they come in. Talking through, a lot of people are talking about penalties. Parker said penalties won't be fixed. We're almost halfway into the season. Look, the penalties got fixed in the second half, guys. I mean, I believe just 1 penalty in the second half, if my count is correct. So clearly something that got communicated to the team worked in the second half. If we don't fix the penalties, that'll be our downfall. Do you think UNLV will be ranked with all these upsets? Yeah, we're now a week away from Boise State against a 6-0 UNLV team. UNLV won 51-48 today against Air Force in an absolute shootout. Obviously, we'll have a lot more insight and analysis on that UNLV game throughout the week. But creamy cold Boise, they're fool's gold. Boise by 20. I think I agree in some ways. That defense is shaky for the Rebels. Let's see here. We've got Seth T. Will Breezy have taken a snap before the UNLV game? We're waiting until after Thanksgiving. One thing I will say, Breezy Dubar was in there today on that opening kickoff. He was there on special teams. I don't think he got any carries. I think at this point they really like the 3 running backs that they have. Don't want to mess up a good thing. But Breezy Dubar is healthy. He is out there. He is playing. So there's a chance that at this point he'll be in there. JB saying Boise's fool's gold as well. Look, I think right now the Mountain West is in a little bit of a down year at the top, and next week's battle, I mean, it'll be a big battle, probably decide who hosts the Mountain West championship game, but no doubt about it that it's not necessarily CFB caliber teams like we saw last year. Continuing some more comments here in the chat. Jesse Bywater, SDSU is looking like a complete team. Yes and no with SDSU. Some of the games looked really good. For what it's worth, 1,000's leaving when I did. First time leaving early in 15 years of holding season tickets. Weren't rained out. We were Danielson out. He's losing the fan base. Look, maybe he is losing the fan base, but games are 60 minutes, guys. If you're getting Danielson out because Boise State has a 17-14 lead at halftime, yeah, I do just question, what are your expectations and what is your level of commitment? Look, it's New Mexico. It's not the best jersey. It's not the best helmet. But at the end of the day, New Mexico is a pretty decent football team, guys. And to be able to take care of business pretty much right in line with the spread for the second week in a row, is this the 2010 era, Kellen Moore era Broncos? No. And we've talked about this in the threads at Bronco Nation News at 247 Sports. Please go check out the boards there. But if your expectation for the program is the Kellen Moore era, those are impossibly high standards, right? You had maybe the greatest quarterback of all time at the college level in Kellen Moore. You had one of the 10 best coaches of the last 25 years in Chris Peterson. I more so look at, are you meeting the standard of like the Brian Harsin era? I mean, look, this team's still competing for a Mountain West championship, and you say you're Danielson out, he took you to the CFP last year, right? Like you have to give him credit for that. So I don't think it's totally fair. I think it was the rain more than anything. I don't think Boise State fans are quitting on the team because of a so-so half where you're still up 3 at halftime. But to come back to the comment on San Diego State, some of the wins have looked really good. You also only beat NIU, 6-3, and then you lose to Washington State by 20. I don't know how to feel San Diego State is my point. Some more comments down here. We ate Boise State. We want the best. Look, at the end of the day, win's a win, and there's a lot to talk about, a lot to grow from. But if you're able to come out with a win without many major injuries, you'll always take that. Next year, we're going to have 10 million to spend on NIL with new distribution thing. Not sure what Boise State's number is. I know there were reports that USF's at 10 million this year. So I know that for Jeremiah Dickey, if that's where the standard is for G5 programs, I'm sure that's where he wants it to be. With 2026 Mountain West, I bet New Mexico and UNLV to be tops in the league. X a good coach. Yeah, I think Jason X a really good coach. That New Mexico team does a lot of things that will coach teams do, right? They win on special teams. I don't think they really beat themselves in terms of penalties tonight. They had a few bad ones, but for the most part this season, they've been pretty good in that metric. They tackle really well. They fly to the ball like that. That's a well-coached New Mexico team, and I think Boise State's more talented. In the second half of the talent really took over. Look, Seth T, I'm glad you said this. One, you will subscribe, and I'll give you your answer why. Put some respect on Genty's name. Ashton Genty's not a Bronco last year if it's not for Spencer Danielson, guys. You have to give him credit for that. If Boise State goes out, make an outside hire, Ashton Genty's probably playing at Texas or Georgia and winning a Heisman or competing for a Heisman somewhere else. Spencer Danielson, He's the guy who brings in Dirk Cutter for last year. He's the guy who gets Ashton Genty to stay. You have to give him credit for that, right? You can't be upset at the roster he's built this year, but not give him for the credit for the one he built last year. And so that's where, for me, if you're out on Spencer Danielson, but you're giving all the credit to last year to Ashton Genty, like Ashton Genty's a Bronco because of Spencer Danielson. Could see BSU running for 300 yards next week against UNLV's defense. Yeah, UNLV's defense has not looked great. Some will never be happy. Go Broncos. And look, I said this on Twitter. I think the complaints are justified. I think there's a lot to be upset about with the team, right? To still be having special teams issues, the sheer number of issues in the first half with penalties. I think all of that's fair. I think all of it's justified. But you still took care of business, still able to get a win against like I said, a competent New Mexico team. Are they going to be competing for the conference championship? No. Are they going to be going to a bowl game? I think there's a good chance. I think this is a good chance. It's a bowl New Mexico team. Continue to stick around, guys. We are going to have post-game press conference here with Spencer Danielson streamed live. I know typically they gave us 2 players, so we might have another player come up before Spencer goes live. We'll see about that. Jesse as well. Jesse, thanks for all the comments, man. Always with great comments here in the chat. We appreciate you. We'll say since Chins has been on the field, the defense has looked a lot better. Yeah, they made that transition, and look, the defense is playing at a high level right now, and they're winning in ways I didn't necessarily expect this defense to win. Last year, they led the nation in sacks. This hasn't been a defense that is racking up sacks numbers. Today, just 2 sacks on Jack Lane. I know they had 0 last week against Notre Dame. It's really been the back end that's playing at a high level. I thought the corners were excellent tonight. Jack Lane, starting quarterback for New Mexico, was 7 of 17. 7 of 17, just 41% with 2 interceptions. I thought the back end is playing at a really high level right now. Ty Benefield, Zion Washington, Jaden Mickey, Marion McCoy, and Jeremiah Irby. I thought they had a great game tonight. They're playing at a high level. Bowen Phelps, the former walk-on from Freeman High School and right outside of Spokane, Washington, continues to be a revelation. I know early in the game he had a key, I believe it was a 3rd down stop that really kind of gained some momentum back when at that point in the game things were definitely going New Mexico's way. The defense is winning, and they're winning in spots that I haven't expected. It hasn't been Marco Notriani with big play after big play. Jaden Virgin Morgan did have a big day today. I think he finished with 3.5 tackles for loss. He's been excellent as a run defender this year. So the defense is starting to play at a really hit level, and I think if you're a Bronco fan, that's encouraging, and especially against some of these Mountain West offenses, I think there's a good chance that's a trend that can continue. But they're going to be tested against UNLV next week. For my money, I think UNLV is the best offense in the Mountain West right now, and I don't think it's that close, especially with the way Boise State looked in the first half tonight. I think that defense will be tested next week. That's going to be the test. I think right now you have a case to be made that it's the best defense. Boise State has the best defense in the Mountain West, but we'll see how they look next week. Some more comments here in the ICCU chat. Joseph, go Broncos from Alabama. Hey, thanks for checking in from Alabama. It's a late night over there, so we appreciate you staying up. I assume Ben here means Bowen. Bowen's been really good. Yeah, Bowen was, I believe, the highest rated defensive player against Notre Dame per PFF, and I'm sure he's going to have a high grade again today. He's done a phenomenal job. What a find by this staff getting him in here. What else do we got? Adrian Lopez play calling sucked in the first half till we figured out we can just run the ball. I agree somewhat on the run game stuff, but I thought the pass scheme was pretty good in the first half. I was pretty impressed with some of the stuff Nate Potter was dialing up there. And look, man, again, it's a total conspiracy theory, but I'm curious if there was any signal changes there in the second half that has anything to do with it. So, fellow 247 Bronco Nation employee Chris saying we love you. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it, man. I think you had a family night tonight, so hope you enjoyed time with the family. And go Mariners, man. I know you and I are the Mariners fans here with BNN. Actually, we got Johnny Ballgame too. BJ, you might just have to make this. Might have to do Mariners post-game pregame shows with all that we have here at Bronco Nation News. Grand Tetons, good win. Still don't think we win the conference, especially with our QB. Yeah, Maddox Madsen, really polarizing game. In the first half, I thought took some sacks that were uncharacteristic of him. I do wonder with Maddox Madsen, particularly on some of the sacks with the lack of mobility he's shown really the last 2 games, how much that ankle is bothering him, or ankle, knee, we don't know, something lower leg. Obviously got banged up against Air Force, came out of the game for a drive, and he just wasn't moving as well as he was before. I do wonder how much of that is still continuing to affect him. And look, like I said, I thought Maddox had an up and down first half and came back and had a strong second half. But we're going to kick it over to the media room. Spencer Danielson coming up for his post-game interviews.
First off, I want to give a shout out to Cody Gogler. It's his birthday tonight, and I want all Bronco Nation to make sure they love him up. I'm just going to clap it up for Cody right now as I stare at him, man. Happy birthday, Cody. Big deal. But no, man, thank you, Jesus, for the victory. So blessed to coach this team. And we talked to our team on Friday about the parable of the talents. And really in a synopsis, it teaches you a lot about life, because whatever you've been given, you got to use that to the fullest. Don't waste it. And that could be talent, that could be ability, that could be whatever you're given. Don't waste it. That was my message to our team. Like, you've been given so much, so blessed to be here. So many talented football players in this building, so many talented coaches. Don't waste it. Use it, grow it every single day. Don't waste it. Don't live with regret. And I believe our team is growing. There's still a lot of things, as we well know, and I'm sure questions are coming here shortly, that we need to improve in. And we don't run from that. Never run from the mistakes we made. No different in a win versus a loss. It's all the same. We got to find ways to keep learning, grow, and start with me. But I am proud of our team battling. It's hard to win. It is hard to win, and I'm proud of our guys battling. New Mexico's a really good football team. Really, Coach Jason X did a really good job this year. Brought in some really good players. They're hard to defend. They do a good job defensively with a lot of their movement. Obviously, they had a huge play tonight on special teams, and they've been able to do that this season. So New Mexico's a good football team, but proud of our guys finding a way to win. Proud of us having a much better second half than we've shown in the previous games that we've lost. So proud of our guys finding a way to finish. Proud of us doing a good job in the fourth quarter. They're one of the top fourth quarter teams in the country. We are not, but we were better tonight. And so that's tough to build. And obviously, we'll talk about some of the negatives here in a little bit, but really proud of our defense. They had to deal with a lot tonight, a lot of personnel groupings, trick plays, run the football, all that. And they responded really, really well. There's obviously some things to clean up, but they tackle better, really good on third down. We're able to get after the quarterback. Those are foundational things for us. Braxton Feely continues to be one of the better D linemen in the country. Ty Benefield's relentless finding the football. Amari McCoy had a big interception. Jaden Virgin Morgan obviously played really well. Had a personal foul that cannot happen. And watching the film, I see why it is, but we can't respond to those things. That's on us. That's a discipline issue that we got to get fixed. That's why we pulled him out immediately after that, but he played really, really hard. Marco Notarini always plays hard. Jaden Mickey had a really good night. So I think overall our defense did some really good things. I'm proud of them. Offensively, if we take away the self-inflicted negatives, obviously there's a bunch of false starts on there. And that's something we're going to continue to look at, continue to have conversations, continue to find ways to rep it better in practice, because that's what we control. We don't live in mythological world. We got to control it in meetings and practice, and something we're missing because we got great kids. And I've heard people, well, you're going to pull, like, we got who we got. And that we have more than enough. We just got to keep growing them to where we don't have some of these self-inflicted negatives. And we got to make sure we win first down, right? You see the drives that we did sputter offensively. We didn't win first down. We got to be more efficient there, but proud of our offense finding a way. We went forward on fourth down 7 times, and we found a way to win 6 of those. That's huge. Huge for our offense to be able to continue to move the ball. Maddox did some good things. Our O-line was able to wear their defense out later in the game. Ben Ford had a huge night. That's earned and deserved. He's a warrior. Our receivers were blocking their tail off. Chris Marshall had some big catches. I'm just proud of our guys battling on offense. Obviously, special teams-wise, that kickoff to the house can't happen. What happened is the guys on there assumed we were kicking it out. And even though we talk about as coaches, don't assume, run through the end zone, some of our players, we assumed. And we got to fix that. We got to make sure that doesn't happen. And right now, men learn through pain, and we went through a really painful moment on that blue. And we can't let that happen again. And so we got to work to fix it. That play where we fumbled the snap and found a way where Oscar Doyle threw it to Grizz, I would love to say that was a play call. It was not. It was our players adapting to fire drill, which we work every Thursday if we do muff a snap. And thank you, Jesus, for the touchdown. And it was a moment that I probably won't forget in a long time. But proud of our guys' battle tonight. A lot to clean up, a lot of things to grow in. Obviously, a huge game coming on the Blue next weekend that we got to be ready for.
You mentioned the defense to get that turnover on the first play. And I know you only got a field goal out of that, but then next possession, another turnover. I mean, just what can you say about the defense?
They were relentless tonight, BJ, and I've seen our defense really grow throughout this entire season. I really have, and by no means perfect, but they're growing. They're consistent. That's one of the first things Coach Eck told me when I see him. He's like, Coach, that defense is elite, right? And I respect Coach Eck, right? I appreciate him saying that. And our players, when they play in the schemes, they play discipline, they play relentless, they play mentality. I do believe in our defense, right? Defensively, though, if you do have laps, it hurts you. And you can't take points off the board. So we still got a lot of meat on the bone there with our defense, but proud of our guys stepping up and playing really well.
Starts, it seemed like in the first half, New Mexico was getting some more defenders in the backfield, tackles for losses, sacks. Like, what do you think, as far as the offensive line was concerned, were some of the things that maybe weren't all there tonight?
Yeah, we got to win our one-on-ones. We got to make sure in regards to our IDs and the physicality we play with. They did a really good job with their movement up front, but we knew that going in. That's what they do on film, and we didn't handle it great throughout the game. So it's going to be no different. Everybody we play, guys are going to slant, they're going to move, they're going to pressure, and we got to handle it better.
Among your sayings, your many sayings, is the toughest team always wins. How tough was this team tonight, and what do you guys have to do to really pull it out in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, proud of our team, man. I mean, like I said, championship teams find a way to win. It's hard. And, I mean, I was even watching the UNLV game a little bit before our game, right? They're down the fourth quarter. They find a way to win because they're a really good football team. And I'm proud of our team tonight. I mean, it was the start of that game was a lot going on, right? We had a couple turnovers. Weren't able to get touchdowns out of them. Then the kickoff to the house. There's just a lot of stuff. And we had to – and self-inflicted. And we got to find a way to make that better. But our guys found a way to win. And it's hard. We'll never – I mean, winning is hard. You see it across college football. Week to week, winning is hard, and I'm proud of our guys finding a way to win. Obviously, we got to continue to improve and grow. We've played 6 games. We've learned a lot.
It seemed like from Notre Dame to this is Jack Glenn was under so much pressure all game. That defensive line was able to get home so often tonight. What contributed to that, and then what's that like for you as a coach to see that success in this game?
Yeah, I'm proud of our defensive front, and Coach Nander, he'll blitz anybody. And so it's not just the defensive front, but our defensive front did a really good job. They practiced Braxton Feely. We're trying to find new braces for him so he can practice. I mean, he's a warrior. Jaden Virgin Morgan, same, right? Across our board, Max Steed, same, like warrior. It's hard. I mean, how we play defense and in the defensive front, that's a battle, and our guys battle to continue to grow and improve, and they did some really good things tonight, and so we need every bit of that.
You talked about the fourth downs, going for it 7 times. Was that a point of emphasis this week with Nate Potter and the staff that you guys were going to be more aggressive on fourth down?
We're always going to be aggressive. I mean, that's mentality we have here in all 3 phases. We want to be aggressive. We want to be on the attack. It just was the situations we were in tonight. And every game is going to be different. There's some games we won't go for it all on fourth down. It just depends on the game, depends on the situation, and we needed every bit of those tonight.
The running game tonight, I know you wanted to establish the run, get that going. First half, 30 carries for 53 yards. Yeah. I mean, second half was a little better. Overall, what did you think of the running game?
Yeah, just was inconsistent tonight, BJ. Inconsistent. I mean, I don't remember what drive, maybe second to last drive. It felt like we were starting to wear them out, starting to get those 6-yard gains, 8-yard gains. But we got to be way more efficient. We had too many TFLs on 1st and 10, so we're playing 2nd and 11. We got to, and like I said, stuff we practice. We just got to continue to make sure we make our plays, make our blocks, because that's a mentality for us. We have to be able to run the football, and it just wasn't consistent enough tonight.
They had 10 tackles for loss in the first half. I mean, how hard is that to move the ball and put up points when you have 10 negative plays?
Yeah, 10 negative plays. I mean, you throw the penalties on top of that too. That's just putting you behind in every situation. And no offense is built to win 3rd and long consistently. That's just not what you want to be in offensively. And with the TFLs, with the penalties, we were playing from behind in a lot of those drives. And that's why we ended up having to go for it on more fourth downs to try and get stuff going. But we got to win first down. We got to be efficient. We made a lot of plays to score the points and win the game we needed. But we got to be a lot more efficient, especially in the first half.
Me through the fake field goal for a touchdown. Was that a designed play?
I would love to sit here and tell you it was. It absolutely was not. We fumbled the snap, and every week we call it fire, and it's everybody around the country, I think, calls it fire drill, where if you fumble the snap, all your eligibles just make a beeline for the goal line. We do it every Thursday. It's something you kind of, I'll be honest with you, just kind of work through just in case. And it happened. And old Oscar Doyle, man, found a way to find old Troy Grizzle in the end zone, and absolutely not called. Absolutely great job by our players, and I give God all the glory for that one.
First career pass for Oscar, first career reception for Troy. Just how special of a moment is that for those guys?
Yeah, you saw our sideline. They erupted because, I mean, they're great kids. I mean, Oscar Doyle's a great addition. His family's in town from Australia, too, watching him. I think the first game they've been able to see. And Troy Grizzle, I mean, a guy that battles on scout team, has some packages on offense, obviously is on our field goal unit, and him scoring was awesome.
With the offensive line, Spencer, was there something you said, an adjustment at halftime? Because again, 10 TFLs, 4 sacks, and then second half, just 1 TFL.
Yeah.
Was it something you did? You changed? What was that?
Yeah, with our defensive front, I mean, our guys were relentless. And just like anything, when you start getting a lead, then that puts you in a situation where you can go attack the quarterback a lot more. When it's a one-score game or you're down, which we've been in this season, it's really hard to be able to pin your ears back and go get the quarterback. So our guys were relentless. They were unfazed tonight. And even after the kickoff to the house or the scoring touchdown drive they had, I'm proud of our defense. I'm proud of our coaches. I thought the game plan was really, really good. Proud of our coaches putting that together. And our guys were relentless tonight.
Well, starts. Cage got one, which obviously he doesn't ever get that. How much of it is communication versus cadence, and how do you attempt to fix that?
Yeah, obviously we got to keep looking at it. We had way too many tonight. Cage, one of them. We had obviously multiple players on our offensive line that had false starts. So we got to keep looking at it. We got to find a way to fix it. It's obviously been a point of emphasis, but we have to do a better job as coaches. And then our players got to continue to grow in that spot, because that can't happen.
Nothing in the turnover battle. Did you do anything on both sides of the ball just to fix those issues?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Notre Dame, right? We were -4, all these things, but winning the turnover battle, winning the explosive play battle, those are the biggest stats to winning football games. And something we talk about every week. Every week, we got to find ways to protect the football on offense. Got to find a way to take it away on defense. And so our guys did a really good job in practice. And that's a message. Real men learn through pain. We've been through a lot of pain, right? Sometimes it's wins. There's painful moments tonight in that game, even though we won. We've got to learn from it. And I really believe our team did. We protect the football on offense, even with some of the conditions, and our defense took the ball away tonight.
What do you like about the execution on those fourth down plays?
Yeah, I mean, those are critical downs, as we well know. And our guys executed, and we had to do it a lot. Obviously, we don't want to always be in that situation. That's winning first and second down, third down, to not have to have fourth down, but I'm proud of our players executed.
Obviously, a lot of talk about Maddox Madsen this week. What do you think? How do you think he played?
Without watching the film, I thought he played really good, BJ. I thought obviously there's going to be things, even just off the top of my head, that I know he can do better, but he was consistent. He's a warrior, right? Rain, things not going good, false starts, all this, and everybody's going to look at number 4. How he handles it, what he does. If the offense isn't going good, the first finger is going to him. And he's a warrior, man. He's relentless. He's a leader of this team. And I'm proud of how he bowed. And I thought he played really well tonight.
Your phrasing of these men learn from pain is really interesting to me. I'm wondering if you could expand on that and maybe touch on how the sentiment on the team is changing after last week's loss.
Yeah, I talked to our team a lot about this, because when you're a child, and I have little kids, painful moments will happen. Hey, don't touch that. It's hot. But when you're a kid, you'll touch it. You'll probably bring your feet, but you might still touch just because it's hard for you to learn when you're a child. As you become a man, you have to learn through pain. It's not always just physical pain. What we're talking about is obviously painful moments in football, obviously life included. And real men, you learn from it. So whatever brought about a painful experience, not playing well, not doing something you should, you got to learn and figure out why that happened so I can be better and not let that pain happen again. And that's what you always try to do as a coach. No different. We've had same conversation last year, even with winning football games, because you have to learn throughout a game. The best teams learn the most all the time, but even after wins, you got to learn a lot. And there's a lot of things you got to learn even after this win.
Spencer, 15 straight wins for you guys at home. It's ties the longest winning streak in college football at the moment for games at home. Why is that such an important part of your guys' culture and what you try to build here?
Yeah, Jay, I mean, we put a premium on protecting the blue, put a premium on it. I mean, Bronco Nation tonight, a late start, rain, all that, Bronco Nation was still elite. Loud, there the whole game. We have the best fan base in the country, and it matters to me. It matters to our team. They find a way to save their money, pay for tickets, go to see us play in Notre Dame, sell out our stadium every single week, no matter kickoff time, weather. Bronco Nation's there. That does not happen everywhere. I'm so blessed to be a part of that. I'm so grateful for Bronco Nation. And I make sure I talk about their team all the time. Like, how do you want this to go? Because there's 30-some thousand people in those stands that are sacrificing to watch you. What do you want them to think about? And I really believe our team understands that, right? The best teams also find a way to win at home. It's not like there's some magic out there, but I do believe in Bronco Nation, man. I'm so proud of them, and we got to keep stacking those wins. Thanks, guys.
All right. I believe next up we'll have Jaden Virgin Morgan. And I don't know if he's coming up now or if we've got a little bit of time, but until we'll kick it straight over there.
I'm good. You guys. How big was it to get that takeaway on the first play of the game and kind of set the tone there? And what do you think overall how you guys played?
Yeah, I think that was a big momentum for us. It was being able to really just start the game fast like we've been wanting to do all season. So being able to put that into play is amazing for sure.
How about some of the late downs, third and fourth down? You guys did a really good job getting off the field, time of possession, headless slanted for Boise State. Like, how big was it just to get the ball back to the offense and kind of you guys were really not allowing New Mexico to generate any momentum offensively themselves?
Yeah, I think that was a huge impact. I think that made a huge impact on the game. Just being able to really get off the field on third down as well as fourth down, those big fourth down stops really helped the momentum towards us.
3-point lead going into the fourth quarter. Just kind of what was the mentality of this team over the final 15 minutes?
Just to finish. That's one thing that New Mexico was known for, is being a really good fourth quarter team. So being able to finish this game was one of the most important things this week.
How good did that feel to be able to get to the quarterback this week? I know Notre Dame was tough, but you guys were in the backfield all night.
It was amazing. I mean, just being able to really put the work that we put in through the week into the game it's a great feeling for sure.
The offense going out there and scoring so many points and going for it on fourth down. How does that affect and change the pace of what you guys execute on defense?
Can you restate that question, please?
With the offense going out there and scoring so many points and like playing a huge part in like running up the scoreboard, how does that change the pace of how you guys execute on defense?
I think it just helps us have the momentum, and I think it gives being able to go hand in hand with the offense and be able to get them the ball back and then be able to get onto the scoreboard is very important for us for sure.
3 turnovers after none last week. Do you guys feel like you were doing anything differently?
I think we were just attacking the ball. We were doing a much better job at attacking the ball and getting to the ball every play, and I think that helped us out a lot for sure.
How much did that first getting the turnover on the very first play of the game, how did that really set the tone for you guys?
I think it helped us start really fast, and it was just it showed that we came to play today for sure.
Obviously, seen you grow a lot in your time here. You seem so steady this year. I think when you look at your overall numbers coming into the game, like at least like the main ones, like maybe they don't match like the effort that you put forth. And tonight you get 3.5 tackles for loss, you get a sack, you force a fumble. I don't know, what is it just like to see like that tangible production, I guess, for you tonight?
It's great to see. I mean, it's great to know that one big thing that Coach Frazier tells us all the time is to do your job. And whenever you do your job, plays will start to come to you. So being able to know that what they say is true and being able to do my job every play and help the team out, and the plays will come for sure.
Probably case in point on the fumble you force, you just kind of keep going and you pop it out. Like, how much did that just kind of maybe jumpstart your night?
Jumpstart my night a lot for sure. It gave me the confidence going into the game, especially being able to start fast. I think that's one thing that I've been working on all season, is starting fast in the game. So being able to do that first play helped me out a lot for sure.
Just getting back into conference play and just kind of having that goal again, and just kind of putting that game behind you. I mean, is it a little easier to refocus, I guess, when you guys kind of lock back in and know what's ahead here?
Yeah, it's a little easier to focus knowing that we're just in conference play. So being able to go week to week and be able to go 1-0 each week is going to be really important for us.
Obviously, for you guys next week, UNLV, it's offense. They just scored a bunch of points today against Air Force. What do you think you have to do to be better to shut them down the way you did New Mexico tonight?
I think just getting to the ball, pursuing to the ball every single play, no matter what it is, I think that's going to help out our defense a lot, no matter what, and just being able to have great communication from the front end to the back end.
Yeah, just when you get recruited here, obviously immediately told like the importance of the blue and defending the blue. You've won 15 in a row now, so to uphold that standard and tradition, it's tied for the longest home winning streak in all of college football. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I think being able to really, it's a great tradition to be a part of. Being able to win on the blue and be on the blue, playing on the blue is really important to everybody in this program and in this building. So I think being able to continue that tradition and keeping it strong is very important to us.
Why do you feel like you guys have kind of started to find your stride as a defense here these last few weeks?
I think it's just we've been starting to practice a lot faster. I mean, we started a little rough, but being able to really attack practice a lot more, start pursuing to the ball and communicating helped us out a lot for sure.
You look around, you see how many guys on defense impacted this game. Like, just how encouraging is that?
Super encouraging. Just knowing that we have a defense with a bunch of guys that can play, it just helps the entire defense out for sure.
Spencer joked about it, but how frustrating was that penalty and then end up leading, they didn't score a touchdown?
Yeah, that's unacceptable by me. That's something that I need to get fixed. I let the heat of the moment get to me, and that's something that'll never happen again. Thank you, guys.
All right, there you have it. Jaden Virgin Morgan, his thoughts on the game, takes accountability for the penalty, and I don't know, maybe get your thoughts in the comments. Anything notable in those interviews? I think I get that sometimes, especially some of the rowdier fans, don't love the Spencer Danielson interviews because it's a ton of coach speak, and I get it, but it's better than making headlines during post game press conferences, right? You'd rather your coach say nothing than say the wrong thing altogether. So. We'll have BJ Rains on his way up to the press box soon. He's going to help close us out once he gets up here. But let's continue to get some thoughts, some comments into the ICCU chat and see how you guys felt about Boise State's 41-25 victory over New Mexico. One other thing as well, get your player of the game in there. I think we're doing our player of the game. I believe that's sponsored by Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. Bauscher player of the game. Get those in the comments to see who you guys have. I've got my pick. I've got it in my pocket, but I want to see who you guys say and how you guys feel about it. This one here, Danielson does quite a bit of sugarcoating win or lose. Yeah, and it's coach speak, and I think. I'll just say this, being at some of the practices, it's not like Spencer Danielson sugarcoats practices, right? He's sugarcoating it to the media, and he's going to put forward a face of protecting his guys. The way I kind of describe it is, I don't know if any of you guys are brothers. I've got a younger brother, right? Used to make fun of him all the time, like not, beat him up, bully him, all the stuff that brothers do. But if I went to school and somebody else said something bad about him, I was going to protect him, right? I think it's a little bit of that with Spencer, right? Protect your guys in public, and then when you're behind closed doors, you can let it have them. So that's just how I see it, and I never think we'll see a whole bunch of big time comments in these Spencer Danielson interviews, and who knows, maybe one of them will come. Nathan, is New Mexico going to make a bowl game this year? I think they got a good shot. I mean, New Mexico's a good football team. They're sitting at 3-3 right now. Let's pull up their schedule the rest of the season. They've got Nevada at home. That should be a win. Utah State at home is winnable. Colorado State at home is winnable. At Air Force, I think you've got 4 games there that are winnable, at UNLV and home against SDSU. Those will be tough, but I'd say 5 to 6 wins. Getting some player of the game comments in here. Ben Ford. We're getting some Ben Ford in there. Jesus was my player of the game. Praise God. Amen, Rolf. Love that. I did see one comment in our thread saying that Spencer Danielson needs to go a little bit more Old Testament. Thought that I got a kick out of that. Another Ben Ford. Dylan Riley or Oscar Doyle. Oscar Doyle has quietly been phenomenal for Boise State, and now very loudly good for Boise State as he's 1 for 1 for 10 yards and a touchdown. Clay Martineau update. Is he transferring? I'll just say this. Clay Martineau was down there on the field. He just wasn't suited up tonight. I don't know if there was an injury or what with Clay Martineau, but he wasn't suited up tonight. He is still with the team. So if he's transferring, that's something different altogether. A lot of Ben Ford love in the comments. Some Oscar Doyle love. Ford and Doyle. Sky Shippy saying Maddox Madsen. Be careful saying that around these parts. We've got some people who are going to jump on you for even suggesting it. had the better throw. Maddox last year versus UNLV in the Mountain West Championship, or Doyle's beauty of a throw tonight. I love it. That Maddox throw is probably the best throw I've seen a quarterback make on the blue. It was really like NFL high level throw. Braxton Feely, there we go. How about Boomer living up to his name? He had a good night. Colton Boomer, I like that. Troy Grizzle, love that. Sire Gaines for putting the Eck kid on his butt in the end zone. Look, man, hey, I'm going to give a ton of love to Jackson X tonight. Finished with 18 tackles. That guy's a warrior, man. He was everywhere. He had a really strong game for them. A lot of good comments. It seems like the favorite is trending towards Ben Ford. I'm actually going to go with the man we just heard from for my Boucher real estate player of the game. Jaden Virgin Morgan finished the game with 6 tackles, 5 of them solo, had a sack, which was a forced fumble, finished with 3.5 tackles for loss, 4 QB hurries. We'll see what PFF put the pressure numbers at, but just based off the numbers that Boise State gives us, 5 pressures, 3.5 tackles for loss, a forced fumble. Jaden Virgin Morgan was dominant tonight, and the defensive line, especially in the second half, really started to get going, and Jaden Virgin Morgan at the center of doing that. Jaden Virgin Morgan, I talked about it in the preview series that some of his statistics from last year would suggest that his sack numbers were a little bit higher than his production would have expected, right? Sacks are pretty high variance, and his pressure numbers suggested, hey, got more sacks than that number of pressures would have suggested. And this year it's kind of flipped on its head the other way. He's been more productive than the sack numbers would show. He's been phenomenal against the run. He's been disruptive in pass defense. So Jaden Virgin Morgan, that's my personal player of the game. I thought the defense was phenomenal. Gave up just 10 points before garbage time, before the backups came in. I thought Jaden Virgin Morgan had his best game of the season, and our guy here, Sick Modern, agrees with that. His best game of the year. Marion McCoy's special. He has been actually. Yeah, Marion McCoy, I thought was actually pretty good tonight. Obviously had the interception, but really I can't think of any catches thrown his way tonight. I mean, they only completed 7 against the first string defense, so there weren't many at all from the secondary. I'm assuming this is Jackson Eck, reminds you of Jackson Woodard from last year's UNLV team. Dude was all over the place. Yeah, I was really impressed with Jackson Eck, and look, I don't think he's transferring anytime soon, obviously playing with his dad, and this may be his last year of eligibility, but he had a really strong game, and that's a power 4 player if he wanted to be. Love McCoy. Yeah, man, Marion McCoy is a really good quarterback, and he had a couple of rough games to start this year, but amidst all of the issues with the secondary, even stretching back to last year, Marion McCoy has consistently put together pretty high performance games. He gets the interception tonight, and his second interception of the season. Curious to see what you have as Mickey grade. I don't think anybody call around Mickey. Yeah, I think Jaden Mickey had a pretty quiet game. Wasn't around the ball a whole lot. I can think of 2 passes that went his way in particular, one of which had good coverage and ball was overthrown, and then obviously had the monster pass breakup where comes down on a crossing route on a mesh pattern and punishes the receiver. Jaden Mickey, when you're playing nickel like he is, sometimes a quiet game is best. Didn't have any tackles tonight, and I don't know if that was schematic. I know there was a lot of shifting and kind of moving him back more into a safety role, but I thought for the most part, like if you've got secondary players who have quiet games, you don't really see what they do. More often than not, that's a good thing. So Jaden Mickey, I think being back in the lineup, like Boise Rail fan says here, glad Mickey's back. Him being back in the lineup, I think definitely improves this defense. PFF, not gospel. It's obviously just a data point, but he's the number 1 rated defensive player on this team right now. Helps when you didn't have to play in the Notre Dame or the USF game where the defense got torched. But I think he's a really talented player. I think he's the best nickel that this team has right now. So having him back, so I think a big boost, and it's going to be a big boost, especially next week against UNLV. Mickey Boomstick, yeah, one of the harder hits of the night, no doubt about it. I think the hardest hit of the night might have been on Ty Benefield's interception. Gets the interception over the middle, goes for the return, and is about 3 yards out of bounds and gets completely decleated. And no flag on that one. I don't love talking about officials too much. I didn't think they did a horrible job, but there were some false starts on New Mexico that probably should have been called, and that hit not being a personal foul was shocking to say the least, because he was legitimately 3 yards out of bounds. DB in the middle is underrated. I'm not sure if you're referring to Ty Benefield or Zion Washington. Regardless, whoever it was, I think both those guys had really strong games. Thought Ty Benefield and Zion Washington both played really well tonight. I thought the secondary as a whole, for the second week in a row, put together a pretty strong performance. Marco asking who's the kid that broke his nose before the Notre Dame game. Quentin Brown, wide receiver Quentin Brown, who wasn't there today. I don't believe had any catches. Don't know if he had any targets, but don't believe he had any catches in there tonight. But didn't play last week against Notre Dame. Did play this week. Not sure if it's because of the broken nose or what. Is this a new thing? BJ going to come on for 5 minutes? Yeah. So essentially, just with the late game tonight, trying to get out of here a little bit early, decided to stream the press conferences live. If you missed that, go back and listen. Had Spencer Danielson, Jaden Virgin Morgan, and Sire Gaines. BJ's on his way up right now. He'll be coming on, probably doing another 15-20 minutes once he gets up here. Yeah, just something different for it being a late game. The James closes at 11 o'clock, so figured instead of asking them to stay open until 2 o'clock in the morning, figured we can get out of here a little bit quicker for you guys. Hopefully get you to bed at a decent time. But hey, it's 12:34, and we've still got a good crowd, good crew here in the ICCU chat. We thank you guys for hanging out here on the Jackson's Postgame Show. Continue to support the sponsors. Jackson's 99-cent coffee anytime if you've got the Let's Go Rewards app. I was actually in a Jackson's today grabbing a Celsius before my workout, and man, the guy behind the counter should be up here selling the Let's Go Rewards app, because he was giving me all the things you can do with it. You can rack up rewards and get free eggs and half-price Celsiuses and free donuts and all this stuff. We got to get him on, man. He's the greatest salesman of the app, and I'm like, yeah, I've got one. We work with you guys. So let's continue to get some more questions in here. JB, hey, no hard feelings. No, I took it well. It is something different. So no hard feelings taken. Didn't take it that way at all. So Broncos take down New Mexico 41-25 in a up and down game. A lot of fans, if you asked them at halftime, they would have been very, very frustrated by the Broncos' performance, but a strong fourth quarter, outscored New Mexico 21-8 in the fourth quarter. Offense had the ball 4 times in the second half and scored 24 points before the kneel downs at the end. We won't count that as a true drive. So definitely some up and down, some hit and miss stuff from the Broncos, but like we've said, anytime you're able to pull out a 2-score victory and you're able to get the backups in there for the final drive of the game, that's going to be a good thing. So continue to get, I know we've got BJ coming on here in a second, continue to get some comments into the chat that you want to hear from his point of view. Besides the Doyle Fire TV, the special teams has got to be better. Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I said it earlier in the show. I think that's a really well-coached moment. You steal 4 points, and that's +4 for the special teams unit, but you gave up a kick return touchdown, so you're still down 3 on the day. You got the field goals though, which is good, which is big time. So let's without further ado, let's bring BJ in. We'll just bring you on live, coming straight from the press conferences. How you doing, BJ?
I'm doing good, man.
Good.
Great job hosting, man.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't know how much you were able to catch of it being in there, but
so did the rest of the press conference crew. Got to hear you down there as well. So
fantastic. Love that.
Kanan, you did great, man. You can take off. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of you. Come back here. Come over here and say hello to everyone first.
Yeah, appreciate Kanan. This is the man behind
Boise
the scenes.
State senior Kanan Rogers. I think it's disrespectful to call him an intern. I think we got to think of a better name. But great job, man. We'll put everything away. You got an hour and a half, an hour to go head downtown, man. So
there you go.
Everybody sees Kanan down there, buy him a cold one.
Or you can join all of the seniors who left at halftime to go hit up Suds. So or the James. Well, James
was up with that. Did you guys talk about that at all?
No, didn't mention it yet. It came up a little bit during the obviously Spencer's presser talking about. He said, hey, through the whole game, Bronco Nation was there, and not the student section. It was gone at halftime. Which look, I don't know. My take on this, I'm former president of the Corral. I've been a part of the student section. I know how it goes.
Former president of the Corral. Make sure you guys heard that correctly here.
Yep. Did that once upon a time. And look, man, they're college kids. They want to party.
It was raining a little bit.
It's raining. They're expecting a win. It's late at night.
But it was 17-14 when they all left at halftime.
Yeah, but it's New Mexico. Like it just reality. I'll never forget one of the best attended basketball games we ever had in the Corral was when Boise State played a really bad LSU team. I think it was 2015.
Okay,
but it was LSU, right? It's the name brand. New Mexico could have been 6-0.
And I'm not even necessarily ripping on the fans. I was just bringing it up because I think it was notable that a lot of them left. But it was kind of late. It was 10:30 or so. There was a light rain for a portion of the second half. It was a little, I want to say chilly, but it was a little cooler than it has been for some of these games. And I do think the fact that it started raining right about halftime, like a lot of fans probably just thought it's halftime, I'm out of here, and maybe left, because it wasn't just the students. The whole upper level was sparsely filled in the second half. So I know I always come on here and everyone says that I rip on the fans. So I'm not necessarily going to do that tonight. I just was pointing it out that a lot of them did leave. But I don't, there were some circumstances on this one. It was disappointing, I would say. I mean, I would say it was, I don't know if it was quite a third of the crowd that left, but it was a pretty good chunk of crowd that left.
I think a third is fair.
Okay. I mean, the upper deck, there were completely empty rows. I mean, it was a lot of people left at halftime. But like I said, it was raining. It's late. Your New Mexico is not exactly the sexiest of opponents. I understand it. I get it. But I certainly thought it was notable there in the second half.
Which of course in the ICCU chat, everyone here said I would never leave a game early. I would always stay late, and that's why you're here at 12:40 in the BNN postgame show.
We're at 1,300 people right now. So I mean, we really appreciate everyone that stayed and hung out with us here, and I think it worked out pretty well playing the press conference video right away.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, sounded like audio was great, and everyone was able to see the interviews. And it certainly on our end, it was nice not having to do a full hour, especially after a game like this where there's some things to talk about. But at the end of the day, you get the win. And how many times do we want to go in circles on Maddox Madsen or the offensive line?
I was reading a lot of the chat and stuff, but what is the general? And maybe folks can put it in right now. I mean, in one, maybe give us one word how you're feeling right now, Bronco fans, or maybe we'll give you two or three words, but just in as short, as succinct as possible. How you feeling right now? Are you relieved? You got the win. You're moving on. Are you disappointed because you didn't play better than you thought? Are you happy because you won and you're moving on? I mean, what do you think the general pulse is based on the chat of Bronco Nation right now?
I would say it's definitely mixed feelings. And now look, the most, I would say, negative is always going to be the most vocal, right? Because you have the most to say. I would say for the most part, people are relieved that they got the win. They're frustrated by a lot of what happened. But at the end of the day, you got to win, and it ended up being a convincing win, right? Like the fourth quarter was not an anxious fourth quarter. The offense, with all the issues that they had early on, they were able to fix them. I feel like that's been the general sentiment. Still a lot of Maddox Madsen talk. I
did see a lot of that.
A lot of Maddox Madsen talk.
Spencer Danielson about him said he wanted to look at the tape. I thought he made some nice throws. Jesse says skeptical. That's a good one, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Mixed feelings. Harold, don't need to get to his last name there. He's hopeful. Harry is hopeful.
Thanks, Harry.
Good, but could be better. Mediocre is what Maui says there. Relieved. I think there are some people could say relieved, exhausted, okay, B plus. Relieved, hopeful, nervous. What are you nervous about? I guess next week or not making enough improvement. Worn out, mixed. O-line anxiety. Cage Casey, how about that? Got his second penalty of his career. First of the season, over 2,000 snaps. I know Jay Tuss put the exact number out there on Twitter, I think, this week, but 2,000 plus snaps. I mean, it's going bad for the O-line when even Cage Casey is committing false starts.
Well, it's Jay's fault, too. He did jinx him a little bit. Jay Tuss spent all week talking about 2,200 snaps, only one penalty. And the one penalty was an unnecessary roughness that I believe the backstory on it was like the guy that Cage had roughed had taken a cheap shot on Ashton like 2 plays before. So it was more of a big brother moment. Jay had been hyping it up on Twitter all week. Gets the false start this week.
Now, what'd you make of the? I did confirm that this was new tonight. The train horn. Anyone that was at the game, what'd you think of it? I was down there on the field for the final one. They played with a couple minutes to go, and it is extremely loud. And I don't necessarily know. They used to do, I think, a horse, right? Like neighing or whatever you would say on third downs. And I think they might even still do that after the train horn. That was kind of weird. But I believe, and I did ask somebody at Boise State, I believe this is the first game they've brought in the train horn. I believe, on third down.
And if they're playing it out of the south end zone, I feel for all of my south end zone brethren, because the speakers are already so loud in the south end zone.
And I was down there at the north. I was at the other end zone when I heard it, and it seemed super loud down there.
Yeah. I'll just say I don't have a strong opinion about it. I'm curious what you guys who were down there, how you felt about it. You can't get rid of the horses. That's my 3-year-old son's favorite part of going to the Boise State game. Every time there's a third down, he's like, Dad, horses.
Jennifer did not like it. Tequila Gus did not like the train horn. The horn sucks. Let's see. Holy S, from where I was, it was loud as heck. It was loud on TV also. Yo, your mama liked the train, so there you go.
There we go.
There's one for liking it. Todd did not. He's not a fan. So loud. Skyship loved it.
Got another lover of trains.
Gallop is good, but not loud enough.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I like the gallop. I didn't even notice the train horn, and I think when I lived in Washington, I joke you not, I could throw a tennis ball over the train tracks, heard probably 15 trains every single day. I think I've become so accustomed to it. I didn't even realize the train was going on until you pointed it out in the third quarter. You want my thoughts on how I feel about the team right now?
I do, and while you're saying that, I'm going to text Mike Prater, because I think Mike Prater is going to join us.
Fantastic.
If we get a chance to. By the way, you mentioned this to me. Someone says they heard Blitz barking on TV.
Oh yeah, Blitz was going nuts on the sideline, and typically, like, this was my first game in the press box. Typically, I'm in the south end zone where we've got season tickets, and I've heard Blitz bark a little bit if he's in the south end zone. And man, Blitz did not stop barking the entire game. He was going crazy. It looked like he might have had a different handler with him today, which I wonder if that's what it was. But yeah, Blitz was going crazy. In terms of how I feel about this Boise State team right now, I think this Boise State football team is a good football team, and they're not a great football team. And the frustrating thing about that is that I think they have the talent to be a great football team, and right now it's all of the self-inflicted negatives, all those sins that Spencer Danielson talks about. The penalties, the mental miscues, the dropped passes, the missed tackles, right? All things that are fairly easily fixable, and this team hasn't fixed yet. Look, you beat a New Mexico team. You're up by 24 points before garbage time. It's a good win. That's a good win against a good team. This is a good Boise State football team. They're not great yet, and I think that's where the frustration comes. Boise State fans want greatness, and not only that, it's not. Oh, this team just isn't talented. We just don't have the dogs this year. But they're fighting hard. They're playing hard. It's this team can be great, and they're shooting themselves in the foot over and over again. So I think they're a good team right now. I think they're close to being a great team, but the fact that they aren't there, just being self-inflicted errors, is incredibly frustrating for the fans.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I mean, there's some areas that you really like, and the defense certainly took a step forward tonight.
Yep.
What do you make of the running game? And I know you guys talked about it, but I mean, the first half, 30 carries for 53 yards. Second half got it going a little better. I think they had a little 24 carries for a little over 100 yards in the second half, but still overall, what they finished with 161, not terrible, but 54 carries. Yeah. I know you throw the sacks in there, but the number's 3 yards per carry. You take out the sacks, it was only 3.6. So you do get 101 yards on 18 attempts for Dylan Riley, 20 attempts for 65 yards, 2 touchdowns for gains. And if I'm just repeating stuff you already talked about, I apologize. But the overall running game will be interesting how they do decide that. But I thought Dylan Riley, 101 yards was nice for him. Gains only averaging 3.3 yards per carry, but did get in the end zone twice. Sherrod, 7 carries, only 16 yards. But I know they wanted to get the running game going tonight. That was a big emphasis. And I think they're probably, I would say they're probably a little disappointed. I think when you say you want to get the running game going, 54 carries for 161 yards is probably not what you're looking for.
Yeah, you know how in theory, if you got 3 yards on every carry, you'd get 4th and 1 and be able to convert 4th and 1. And in practice, it never works out like that. That's kind of how it worked out tonight. Like, it seemed like every time they ran the ball, especially in the second half, 2, 3, 4 yards, and did just enough to be able to continue to move the chains. I think the running game, I'll be honest, I wasn't super impressed with the running backs tonight. There was not a lot of broken tackles. I thought Dylan Riley was the best of the 3 backs, and I thought Sire Gaines towards the end of the game got going. I know obviously he's had some injuries. He's been banged up. Got hurt on a kind of a fluky play. I think a chain gang guy ran into him, and he came off for a play or two.
Did anybody else see that? I don't know. Maybe I got lucky that I was looking, but Dylan Riley had a really long run, or maybe a 20-yard run or something, and he tapped out that he needed a breather. So Sire Gaines is on the sidelines and goes to run into the game. And as he is coming on, the guy with the first down marker was running up the field, up the sideline because you have to wait till the ball's spotted on the next one before he runs up. So he's running up the sideline as Sire Gaines is running out, and he actually bumped into him and knocked him over. Sire Gaines laid on the ground for a couple seconds and then had to come out of the game, had to come off, and they had to put another running back in the game. So it was actually a very fluky, scary thing. And I think Sire did come back in the game after that. But I mean, he couldn't continue in the game for the short term. A trainer had to help him off the field, and then he was, on the sideline talking to the trainer for a minute because he ran into the guy with the first down marker. So it could have been worse, I guess, but that was kind of a fluky thing that you don't like to see. And I don't necessarily know who was in the wrong there. The first down guy's running down. It was probably just fluky bad luck that they both happened to run on the field at the same time, but I just happened to be looking, and he went tumbling to the ground and then didn't get up for a minute. And that was a little scary, but he came back in the game and looked like that was okay.
Yeah, strange play, and he did end up coming back. I know all that to say, I know he's had some injuries and maybe still a little bit hampered. Run game on sort of some of the advanced stuff tonight, because I always like to look at that, because maybe it's 3.6 yards per carry, but it's a healthy 3.6 yards per carry, because you're getting a lot of the 3rd and 1s, 4th and 1s. 41% success rate, not great, not what you typically love to see. Not specifically run plays, but the offense as a whole, 58% success rate on 3rd and 4th downs. Really, really productive in that area tonight. And then obviously 6 of 7 on 4th downs. Right?
Yeah. Can you? I mean, that's probably something Jay Tuss would have to look up on it, especially in a game where you're winning. I mean, maybe sometimes you have to go for it a lot if you're losing, but to go for it 7, I don't care how many you converted, to go for it 7 times on 4th down. I mean, that just seems like an extremely high number for me.
I want to say the last time they did 7 was probably the USF game. I think they went 1 of 7 or 2 of 7.
That's funny, because I would have thought it was a lot further back than that, but that was a little different situation where you are
down.
You're down. They didn't trust maybe the field goal kicking at that point.
Yep.
I don't know if you've shouted out Colton Boomer yet in this game. Made the 50-yarder, had another one. I mean, that was nice to see, because you didn't necessarily end up needing those tonight, but whether it's next week against UNLV or at some point, to know that Colton Boomer can make a 50-yarder there and make his other field goal attempt, maybe we can start to slow some of the concerns we had in the kicking game.
Yeah, and I think if nothing else, the kicks didn't matter tonight, but where they do matter is their confidence boosters, right? Colton Boomer, if he's trotting out trying to kick a game-winning field goal 35-35 next week against UNLV, he'll have kicked a 50-yarder on the blue. Well, I guess now he'll have kicked 2 50-yarders on the blue from his time at UCF. But yeah, I thought the kicking units I thought played well. Obviously, there was a coverage issue, and I do want to talk about what Spencer said about that.
Yeah, he said that they thought they were going to kick it out of the end zone.
Yeah, and that's it's a mentality thing, right? And Spencer Danielson, obviously coming off that USF game, so much of that loss was mentality, right? Defense needs to have better mentality. Offense needs to pick their head up and have better mentality. And to have a mentality error like that costs you 7 points. To me, that's where you can point to. There's a coaching issue, right? Something in your messaging isn't clicking if guys are just kind of going through the motions. Now, I know one thing that under the Harsin era that Boise State did was they used to have competitions that if it goes through the end zone, you have to race through through the end zone, and guys would race each other, and like they kept score of it. It was something they were competitive about, because he wanted to instill in the team, look, even if the ball looks like it's going 9 yards deep, they can take it out. You never know when it's not going to be a touchback. So we always want to be ready for that. So yeah, it was interesting to hear that was why that issue was created. So
I don't know, because, Bo says who was at fault there for the kick not going to the back of the end zone. I'll be honest, I'm still typing up the previous touchdown. When I look up, he's already, bringing the ball out. I know in college, they only call it 100 yards. Do you remember how far deep in the end zone he was when he caught it? Or I don't remember exactly where he caught it. Maybe somebody can say if he was right at the goal line or if he was further back in the goal line. But coming into the game, Colton Boomer was like top 10 in the country or something in terms of touchback percentages. So that has not been, that was a huge issue last year. Not being able to get it out of the end zone, that has not been an issue this year.
No, and for the most part, wasn't an issue tonight. Have some comments that are saying 104. Another
next one, 104. They're saying
104. It looks like is the consensus, and that's what I was going to say. It felt like it was certainly not 101 or 100, but it was returnable.
But that, I mean, 4 yards deep and you're almost halfway in the back of the end zone. That's not one that is probably typically brought out either.
Right. And it's probably not typically brought out. And that's something that whose fault is it? I mean, it could just be that there's a headwind that came through the stadium tonight, or, something little like that with the rain, didn't get the best hit on the ball. But if you're putting it 4 yards into the end zone, Colton Boomer, to an extent, you're doing your job. Yeah. Everyone else, you need to prep for the return.
And maybe they're so used to him hitting out of the end zone every time. But I mean, and like you said, until the whistle blows, until you see the guy, fair catch signal or whatever, like you can't just assume it's going to be through the end zone. And and just because he's done it, 95% of his other kickoffs this year, I mean, that's, I don't want to say inexcusable, but if that really is what happened, that they kind of gave up on the play because they thought it was going to go through the end zone and they're kind of jogging or whatever, as he basically alluded to. I mean, that can't happen.
No, yeah, inexcusable. And if that's what happened, and Spencer said that's what happened, I'm sure that those guys are going to pay the price for it at practice. There's going to be some decks they're going to run for it, and I wouldn't be shocked if maybe they just try getting other guys in there. Right? Special teams, it's a third phase of the game, and big time plays can absolutely tilt the game. And if you're not going to take it seriously, I'm sure that the coaching staff's going to see that and say, look, we've got 105 guys on this roster. About 88 of them can probably play special teams for us. Like, we'll find somebody who is every single time going to go through the end zone, going to prep for that kickoff.
What do you make of Stacey Collins? I mean, he was a guy that came in. They made him the highest paid non-offensive defensive coordinator in the history of Boise State football. He was the third highest, basically, if you want to look at it this way, the third highest non-head coach, highest paid in all of Boise State athletics, obviously, because the offensive and defensive coordinators, to lure him away from Penn State, they paid him $350,000, I believe, well over $300,000, the highest by far that they had given to a special teams / linebackers coach. And obviously, when he was here the first time, they had some great numbers and did some great things. But it's been a struggle. I mean, last year was obviously not good. Everybody knows we don't need to get back to some of the games. They literally lost games because of special teams last year. And this year, I mean, the punting, I think Oscar Doyle, give him credit. The punting's been no issue with the punting. Mm-hmm. They're now, another issue was the touchbacks. And we said they've pretty much corrected that. Colton is getting that out of the end zone most of the time. But I mean, you're paying him a lot of money. And again, maybe the field goal kicking is now not an issue either, but when it's 14-0, or what is it? It was 10-0 at the time. Or I'm trying to think what the score was on the return.
Yep, 10-0.
It was 10-0, and then right away it's 10-7.
Yep.
I mean, that's a game-changing type play, and so I'm not going to come on here and call for his job. I mean, there's so much that happens on special teams where we don't really know whose fault it was, but the issues continue to pile up, and he's a special teams coach, and he's making a lot of money. So I don't necessarily think that's something where it's like, oh, tomorrow morning there's, I don't think we have to worry about him getting fired or anything, especially right now.
There won't be a midseason
firing. And I'm not even sure, I don't even think after the season, I don't think Spencer's that kind of guy. And like I said, I don't know if it's a multi-year deal, or I think it was a 2-year deal and this is his second year. I'd have to look into that, but he is making well over $300,000. And again, I'm not calling for his job, but also like the special teams, like you're paying him a lot of money. And I would say you have not gotten what you hoped you would get on special teams since he came here.
Yeah.
And I think he would admit that too.
Absolutely. And I think at the end of the day, you're judged by your results, right? As a football coach, your job is to get results. You're going to be judged by the results. And look, maybe he's the best coach in the world and the players aren't receiving the message and he's got the best schemes. But if the players aren't executing, ultimately that falls on you as a coach. The special teams have not been good enough, and they've been bad in pretty much every single way. There's been issues on field goal block, punt. For the most part, has been good. I know they had the big punt return against Notre Dame last week. Kick return has provided nothing. Punt return almost had a big return tonight, but got called back because of a block in the back. There continue to be errors and issues, and the results are not good in the special teams department, and it has to get fixed. And for me, that comes down to special teams as a mentality. Under the Harsin era, the way that they preach special teams day in, day out, every single day, this is not just something we need to be not bad at. It's something we need to win. Mm-hmm. It got so instilled in the team. That mentality is just not there right now. There's zero doubt about it. And look, you see it on the big kickoff return touchdown. Guys are essentially quitting on the play halfway through. They don't have that mentality instilled in them. And that does fall on Stacey Collins, the special teams coordinator. I'll say this, though. He had a lot of success the first time he was here. Clearly, Avery Williams is the best special team player in the history of Boise State football. Like the mentality he brought with Stacey Collins, and that was...
I think a lot of people thought that was going to be Malik Sherrod this year, though.
Yeah, but even I think the thing that was so special about Avery, and look, Avery's my guy, so maybe I'm speaking from a little bit of bias. Elite kick returner, elite punt returner, but he was also blocking kicks. He was on every single special teams unit because he believed, hey, we can get points here at any time of game. I think Avery blocked 4 kicks while he was a Bronco. So it wasn't just the return stuff he was doing. Every part of the game, he wanted to be there. He wanted to impact. And that mentality is not there right now. Look, you've got starters who are on some of these units and they're not in there trying to make the game-changing play. And I know some of that's schematic, some of that's out of their control. But I think that right now, Stacey Collins, you're defined by your results. The results have not been good, and they have to be fixed on a mentality level. You have to be able to come in and get the entire team to buy into, if we can win special teams, that's how we can win some of these big games. And it's just not happening right now. I
was going to say, I don't think they've updated the stats from tonight's games yet, but the big thing they kept talking about was also wanting explosive plays in the return game. And off the top of my head, maybe I'm forgetting one, but I don't remember too many game-changing plays they've had in the punt return or kick return game this year.
Yeah, I can't think of one off the top of my head. Maybe there is one. Now, look, in the modern college football era, you're going to get a lot of touchbacks off kickoff. That's largely out of your hand. They had the one return tonight, and it got to, I think, pretty much exactly the 20-yard line, which is a failure, right? You want to be able to get that past the 25. And they had the one punt return that got called back for a penalty. They haven't had a ton of opportunity, but when opportunity's been there, they haven't taken advantage of it.
Boise State is 129th, and this is 5 games in, so it does not count. This was coming into the game, but Boise State was 129th in the country in kick returns. 13.75 was the average. They've only returned 8 kicks, 110 yards, only 13.75 average, and that's 129th in kick returns. And then if you go to punt returns, I don't think that's a whole lot better. And again, this is before the game coming into today, so we'll have to check this tomorrow. But Boise State in the punt return, they are a little bit higher here, 107th.
107, yeah.
They've only returned 4 punts, which I think is the bigger issue. 5.75 yards per punt, 23 punt return yards. In the 5 games coming in, they only had 4 punt return attempts, and I don't know how many they had, if any, tonight. But
I think it's just the one.
We were. That was one area we were really thinking we were going to see more of, was them being more aggressive in some of these situations. And it seems like the times they've tried to be aggressive have backfired and have been bad times to do it. But that's another. And maybe you just say, hey, on the return game, just don't cost us anything. Just take the touchback. Just catch the ball. That's fine. But if you're not getting those plays in other areas, and all of a sudden you're now not getting any kind of explosives in the return game either, that's another thing that probably needs to improve.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to an overall issue we've talked about with the offense in general of there's an obsession right now of being efficient at the lack of explosiveness, right? Or we're Boise State's missing out on explosives in an effort to be efficient. Tonight, just 5 explosive plays, just 6% of their snaps. You're not getting the explosives on special teams as we'd hoped that this team would have. And look, I think there's a comment here that Bo has. Sherrod was supposed to be the next Avery Williams, and it hasn't been there yet. And I think, like I said earlier, right, Avery was so special on the return teams, but it was what he did on punt block. It was what he did on kick block, right? If you were a special teamer while Avery Williams, and to an extent as well, call it Kaniho, like you were bought in because you knew, hey, we've got one of our best players, one of our most vocal leaders, giving his all every single special team snap. And we haven't had it so far. Boise State has not had it so far. We haven't seen it so far, and they're missing out on big plays. When you're giving up all the explosives and not getting any back, it's a net negative. And it, like we've said, probably ad nauseum at this point, it falls back on Stacey Collins. It just does.
Well, speaking of coaching, where are you with DeMario Warren? Because I know he's the other kind of whipping boy that everybody wants fired and out of town. But I thought in the Notre Dame game, I think some of the numbers said that the corners weren't as bad as some people maybe thought they were. And then tonight, I don't know what the final numbers were, but they had only given up, 62 yards of offense total in the first half. You had, a couple turnovers, some interceptions, but I thought, without diving into all the numbers, numbers. There was a couple broken plays, a couple longer plays, but I don't think the corners played particularly bad tonight either.
No, I thought the corners played really well. I thought the entire secondary played really, really well. They hit 6 explosive passes according to Game on Paper. The ones I remember were there was a wheel route to Jaden Virgin Morgan where he was covering the running back. There was a wheel route where Marco Notriani. It was a lot of attacking the linebackers tonight, and part of that's just the scheme of what New Mexico wants to do. I thought the secondary played really well. You've got Jeremiah Irby with a pass breakup. You've got Jaden Mickey with a pass breakup. You've got the interception from Marion McCoy. I thought Zion Washington and Ty Benefield, obviously Benefield had the pick, but they were solid. There was never a play where I was like, oh, and there's a guy wide open because such and such didn't match their assignment. I know Jeremiah Irby gave up one big pass play. They hit a smash concept over Jeremiah Irby's head, and it was a wonderful throw from Jack Lane. And sometimes you just got to give credit, right? You're never going to force a quarterback to go 0 for 20. But for the most part, I thought the secondary is phenomenal. The DeMario Warren hate has certainly not been there in the chat tonight.
There once we brought it back up. And also, speaking of the blame, or the credit, nobody wants to give Warren the credit. There's multiple folks in here saying it's coincided with Eric Chenander going down on the field.
Yeah, and look, the defense has gotten better with Chenander down on the field, and Chenander has said in press conferences there's something for him about being able to get into a guy's face and let him know face to face what he needs to work on, and clearly that messaging is getting through. But look, I think to some extent you give DeMario Warren a little bit of credit because the secondaries, and I said this towards the top of the show. You really look back at this season, defense played well against Notre Dame, I would say. Defense played well against USF until the offense kind of started failing and the defense just was continually out there and showed some cracks late. Defense played well against App, played well against Eastern. Defense played well tonight. I think there's the makings of this being a really good defense that maybe we didn't see at first because of some of the circumstances surrounding some of those early games. But defense was phenomenal tonight. That's one of the best defensive performances we've seen against a Mountain West opponent from this group in some time, I'd say. Maybe the Wyoming game last year.
Yeah. Well, I thought Mike Prater was going to join us, and his show must be running a little late, and it's 1:04 in the morning, and you've been doing this, so you've been here since the start of the show and since the start of the game. So if he comes in the next 3 minutes, we'll throw him on. If not, we're going to get out of here. What do you make now moving forward? We mentioned the UNLV game next week, 1:30 on the Blue. Going to be another sellout crowd, afternoon game. UNLV 6-0. Another game today where they very easily could have lost and pulled it out, and that's been kind of the theme for UNLV this year. I think somebody said the line they saw was 10 points was the spread.
Wow.
Somebody had 8.5, I believe. I don't know what your power rankings have it at, when you update this, but what's your kind of first thought? Undefeated UNLV coming in here to I almost said extra. We can see Extra Mile Arena right there. Undefeated UNLV coming into the Blue in Albertson Stadium next week.
Yeah, I think it's going to be biggest matchup of the year. Boise State, the way that they played in the second half tonight. If Boise State plays that version against UNLV, I think Boise State wins by 2 or 3 touchdowns. The second half version tonight, if you get first half of how Boise State played tonight, you're in a ball game and potentially even losing. UNLV does a lot of really good things on the margins, right? They block kicks, they take advantages of short fields, they create explosives based off of scheme. I think UNLV probably has the best offense in the conference. The secondary is going to be tested. With that said, I think UNLV's defense is very, very bad. I think it's been very bad all year, except against Wyoming in a snowstorm where Wyoming's 2 best offensive weapons were hurt. I think Boise State needs to score points next week. I think they should score points next week. It's just a matter of, can the defense get some stops? Now, their quarterback, Anthony Calandria, he's been pretty solid with the football this year. But when he was the starter at Virginia 2 years ago, he was the whoopsie-daisy king, which means he had more plays that ended in an interception or a fumble as a percent of all of his dropbacks than any other player in the country, than any other quarterback in the country. I think you force 3 turnovers tonight, a lot of it because of pressure you're generating and really good scheme and really good coverage. I think you need to force him into some mistakes, and you need Maddox Madsen to play mistake-free football. Todd left a comment earlier. He was like, I think Boise State by 20. He clearly thinks UNLV are frauds. I could see it. I'll say that. I could see it. Yeah, the opponents haven't been good. And look, I got into it with UNLV fans on Twitter.
Your power rankings, man.
My power rankings.
Setting some people off.
Yeah, I had Boise State number 1 and UNLV number 2. And I just said flat out, like, Boise State's going to be favored by more than 3 points next week. And, the line's 8.5, 9.5, 10. UNLV's defense is very, very bad, and they have not looked convincing, right? You go to Miami of Ohio, you win by 3 points. You go to Wyoming and win by 14 last week, but it's off the back of 2 blocked field goals 2 blocked punts for touchdowns and 2 red zone turnovers by Wyoming. Like, those are not sustainable things. And they came back and said, oh, they find ways to win. They do the little things. And every fan base that starts to win like this every single year does it. I remember in 2022 or 2021, maybe it was Iowa. And then Iowa lost to an unranked Purdue team by 30. If those things don't go UNLV's way, if Boise State is well coached and takes care of those little things, I really could see it being a Boise State by 20, Boise State by, margin victory. But it's going to be a test. UNLV, they've got an elite offense, and if Boise State's not playing their best, UNLV can absolutely come in here and grab a win. But as of right now, I would say if the line's sitting there at 8.5, I lean that way. 8.5, 9.5, I'd lean that way. I think that's right.
Dan Mullen, I mean, he's feeling good, 6-0. He's enjoying this year at UNLV, but he hasn't been to a spot like the Blue yet this year.
No, and they have not had a really good road environment. I think their toughest road game to this point's Wyoming, I guess, in a snowstorm.
Miami of Ohio, or
they
somewhere?
were at Miami of Ohio, but you're not getting great crowds in Miami of Ohio.
In that one,
there's travel, yeah, no doubt about it. And if you don't know the streets of Miami, Ohio, that's all new, it's all fresh. But look, Dan Mullen's a good coach, really good offensive coach. They're going to scheme up points. Like, I would be stunned if UNLV doesn't score at least 24 next week. I think that's their floor. And if you're UNLV, they could absolutely score 45. They could score 50. If you're Boise State, you have to go into that game offensively saying, all right, we scored 41 today against New Mexico. We probably need 48 next week just to be sure. And that might not even be enough. Air Force scored 48 today and lost 51-48. They've got a really good offense. They've got a really bad defense. So I think Boise State's a better football team, but sometimes when you've got these weird variance games, maybe it turns into a shootout, and it's just a matter of who makes the special teams play or who has the ball last, right? So we'll see. Big game. I'm sure it'll be a sellout. I think next week's a game where even if it's cold, even if it rains, they tough it out. They stick through it. I don't think we see
1:30 kickoff. I mean, come on.
Yeah, 1:30 kickoff against a big time opponent. UNLV might be ranked. We'll see. I know they were in the receiving votes section. So we'll see if they end up next week. But yeah, it was a fun game. And we had it in the column. We had the over 60. I think it was 64.5, 65.5. They scored 90. Was never in doubt. It's been a good week for the column. I don't know if it just personally or if I put it in the column, but I have the Utah State Hawaii over. That just hit. So thanks Hawaii.
There you go.
Appreciate you putting up
Hawaii
the
is up
points.
37-26. I mean, Utah State's another team, 3-2, coming in 1-0 in Mountain West play, and they go to the island. They're down 37-26 with 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. So it looks like Utah State's going to lose. You mentioned UNLV does win 51-48 today. Before we get out of here, any other? Wyoming wins 35-28 against San Jose State. New Mexico, loses obviously, but San Diego State 44-10 over Nevada. San Diego State, they're another team I'm not sure what to make of. They're 5-1. They're 2-0. Obviously, Boise State's going on the road out there, and I've said for a long time I think Sean Lewis eventually is going to get that turned around. I wasn't quite sure it would be this year. San Diego State, nice, impressive win, 44-10. Last night you had Colorado State, 49-21, a big upset win over Fresno. That was a weird one for me. I've started noticing when these lines are just really weird, like when someone that gambles, like, you play the stink, right? You just take that side of it. Like when Florida was only a 5-point underdog against Texas, or whatever it was last week. And you're like, there's no way they should only be a 5-point dog. Sure enough, they win outright.
Right.
And then like last night was one that I know, like today, Texas, they're favored. It's like, why are they favored? No, of course you got to take Oklahoma. Nope. Texas wins. And that one last night, Colorado State, I think was only like a 5.5, 6-point underdog.
I saw 6.5.
Okay. 6.5. But what you're talking about, they're 1-4. They're wanting to fire their coach. Fresno State's rolling in 5-1. Like there was nothing that told you that game should have been a 6-point spread, in my opinion. And that's why I said, you know what Colorado State probably going to win this game. And not only do they win it, they blow them out. But any other Mountain West thoughts from the weekend?
Yeah, I think San Diego State's going to be the talk of the town. 5-1, 2-0 in Mountain West play, and I am just San Diego State's a team that I hands up. I don't know what to think about them. You blow out UNR. Maybe that game's about San Diego State. Maybe it's about UNR. They shut out Cal. Maybe that game's about Cal. Maybe it's about San Diego State. But then you have this weird 6-3 win against Northern Illinois. You get blown out by Washington State, who a week ago I was like, yeah, Washington State's not a good football team. They go down to Oxford, Mississippi, and nearly knock off the number 4 team in the country today, led for much of that game. So maybe Washington State's frisky, but then Washington State loses by 40 to North Texas, and North Texas gets boat raced by USF last night. Like there's no transitive property in football. Matchups matter. And so San Diego State's a team I've got no clue about. In the gambling column, we took Nevada money line. My thought process on that was San Diego State's had some
Nevada money line, 44-10.
The thought process on it was new quarterback for Nevada. They started Carter Jones tonight, and Chuba Purdy and AJ Bianco were horrendous, very bad quarterbacks, and this guy looked pretty good against Fresno. And San Diego State, I didn't know what to make of it. I said, hey, if you get NIU for San Diego State, yeah, it's a winnable game. And it was not. Nevada 1-5. It just, for my power ratings, just Sharpie in Nevada to that 12 spot for the foreseeable future. The one thing about this Nevada team that you liked was the defense. They've got 2 really good defensive ends. The defense didn't show up tonight. You hate to use the Q word, but I think Nevada's on quit watch for the foreseeable future, because 1-5 and putting up a performance like that, things are not good in Reno.
And then nationally, I mean, quickly, you had Penn State losing to Northwestern. You have Indiana. I mean, this is one of those,
did not see it coming.
It's a great job. We get to cover sports. I get it. Free tickets, free food, whatever. I understand it. But we do miss a lot of the other games and things. And so when I get home at 2 a.m. and still have 3 hours worth of work to do, I'll probably flip on Sports Center or College Football Live highlights and try to dissect some of this once I get a chance and go read the game stories and stuff, because I didn't see that coming, man, at all. Oregon at home losing to Indiana. I mean, I just did not see that coming. That was a major upset. Indiana, way to go. Kudos to them. Nice 30-20 win. You mentioned Ole Miss hanging on 24-21 over Washington State. I mentioned Texas 23-6 beating Oklahoma. Alabama did hang on to beat Missouri. Texas Tech with a big win over my Jayhawks. Georgia wins. LSU wins. Tennessee wins. Georgia Tech wins. USC. Big win over
blew out Michigan.
And then I know they weren't ranked, but how about UCLA?
Yeah.
Again.
Dominating win against Michigan State. UCLA's got some real juice. And look, Boise State fans will get it. Clearly, Deshaun Foster's messaging and coaching was not working. And you get that interim bounce where, look, I'm just a believer. If someone's not the guy, get rid of him, because you never know what can happen. Boise State won a Mountain West championship doing it. And UCLA, man, now look, those 2 games, clearly Penn State's not very good. Michigan State might be bad, and there's some internal issues with Aiden Childs, was the starting quarterback and sounds like didn't play a lot today. So maybe that game says more about Michigan State, but credit to UCLA, credit to those players, credit to Skipper. He was a Fresno's interim last year. Tim Skipper. What an incredible story. USC, I didn't watch any of the USC game, but they grabbed a big win. Former Pac-12 showing out well there.
BYU in double overtime.
BYU double overtime. Big time. BYU and UNLV are the 2 teams right now that they've got horseshoes tucked away somewhere. I don't know where, but they just find ways to win. And I'm just telling you guys, the teams that find ways to win, eventually when you don't find a way, you don't find a way. I don't know when it'll happen, but those teams will drop one at some point, because at some point you just got to crush teams, and they're not doing it.
And then is it Mike Norvell?
Mike Norvell.
Yeah, the Love Fest is ending there pretty quickly. They dropped to 0-3 in the ACC. They lose to Pittsburgh. You have Colorado beating a ranked Iowa State team, and then Utah. A lot of people, were high on Utah. Then they lose badly to Tech. Everyone's off Utah, and then they come back today. I know Arizona State was without their quarterback, but 42-10, Utah lays it on Arizona State. Another upset in the rankings. I think Utah was favored though in the game, right?
Utah was a short favorite, and then kind of out of nowhere it was announced that Sam Leavitt wasn't going to play. And look, Sam Leavitt's a really good quarterback. Arizona State's backup is Jeff Sims. If you've ever watched Jeff Sims play football, he is I'll be kind and say just not the best quarterback for that level. He was the guy who was playing at Nebraska during Deion Sanders' first game and had like 4 fumbles and 2 interceptions in that game. And I told you were saying you're like I want you. I need a Utah win tonight, and I was like, Jeff Sims is playing. You're good. The second I saw Jeff Sims,
why would I need a Utah win? We don't need to get into that. But,
the second I saw Jeff Sims was playing, I placed a little wager on Utah. They did go over though. I'd placed a bet on Utah over earlier in the week, thinking it was going to be Sam Leavitt, Devin Dampier, this big high flying matchup. Jeff Sims still having eligibility, year 6. Played at Nebraska, Georgia Tech, and now he's in year 2 at Arizona State. It's been a really fun year in college football. Today, I would say, was a fun day. Not a lot of upsets, but just a lot of good, exciting games. The story of the day is Indiana, though, no doubt about it. I mean, I had Oregon -7 in the column, in the gambling column. I thought this Oregon team was the best team in the country or close to it, and Indiana bullied them on the line of scrimmage. Fernando Mendoza looks like he might be a first-round quarterback. Elijah Surratt was incredible of the game I did get to see. I got to see most of the first half of that game. Indiana, man, they're legit. They're for real. And I told people last year, like I thought last year Indiana was a very good team who didn't get the love that they deserved because they lost by 2 scores to, the national runner-ups in Notre Dame. Indiana's good. Indiana and Texas Tech are the 2 teams that I don't think people are taking seriously because it's Indiana, it's Texas Tech. If you replaced Indiana with Nebraska or Michigan's logo and replaced Texas Tech with Texas or Oklahoma's logo, those 2 teams are national title contenders. Mm-hmm. Zero doubt about it in my mind.
Well, fun day.
Very fun day.
And I had one more point I was going to bring up, and now I can't think what it was. So, I do want to mention before we get out of here, Signature Roofing. I dropped the ball. We're supposed to give away a $500 gift card to Shields. And we just were so busy today, I forgot to get the names ready. So I promise Monday morning, 9 a.m., we will do the little spinny thing on the dial. We'll get all the names. And if you gave us a voicemail on the Signature Roofing voice inbox line throughout the week, we will do it on Monday. I said it would be today. I apologize. Just a lot going on. But Monday morning on the show, we'll get the little wheel going. And if you put a voicemail, we'll throw you in the hopper. And a $500 gift card to Shields. And then they told me they want to do another one for the UNLV week and post game as well. So all throughout next week, and then the UNLV post game, and then we'll give it away the following Monday. Same thing. So $500 gift card to Shields, courtesy of our friends at mysignatureroofing.com. Signature Roofing, they're the best, man. I know you know those guys very well. But whether it's a re-roof or repair and estimate and inspection, we really do appreciate Signature Roofing. And I apologize, I dropped the ball on that. We will give that away on Monday. I promise it will be on Monday. We'll give away the $500 gift card to Shields. But I want to thank everybody. I know we didn't do a great job of thanking all the sponsors today, but our title sponsor, rowpaint.com, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, Jackson's, of course, on the post-game show here. Get out, get your 99-cent coffee anytime, day or night, using that Jackson's Let's Go Rewards app. And I may have to get some on the way home here. It's going to be a late night here, early morning, I guess. With you know what? We got the 7:30 London game, I guess. That may be about the time I'm trying to get ready for bed at this point. So I may just stay up, but
I will not be attending. I will not be watching.
But no, we appreciate Jackson's for their support of the post-game show. Snake River Pool and Spa, the Blue and Orange Store, Lithia Florida Boise, Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, Transportation Compliance Service, and as I said, Signature Roofing. So appreciate all of our sponsors. I know we didn't give you your full 30-second commercials. We do some games, but hopefully you guys will go support the sponsors. You're watching an almost 2-hour live show here for free at 1 a.m. on YouTube, and you got the post-game press conferences live. You're going to read Mike Prater's comments. You're going to read Nathan's post-game comments, my post-game comments, stuff all week, and you do that at BroncoNationNews.com. A lot of it for free on all of our shows and things, thanks to our sponsors. So again, our title sponsor, rowpaint.com, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, Jackson's, Snake River Pool and Spa,
Lithia Ford of Boise, the Blue and Orange Store, Matt Bauscher, Bauscher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, Transportation Compliance Service, and Signature Roofing. I'll throw Circa in there. I'll throw Timberstone Golf Course in there. A lot of great other sponsors as well. Couldn't do it without our sponsors. So please support the sponsors. Keep these shows, these post-game shows, free of charge on social media. And if you are able to help subscribe, we met some subscribers. We were out doing the pregame show at the James, and multiple people stopped by saying they'd signed up for subscriptions, and we really appreciate them for that. I think we still have 30% off going. You missed the 50% off deal, but I think it's still 30% off. It's like $6-7 a month. Great deal right now. So jump in for a full year of coverage. We're going to be live, in a week and a half down in Vegas for basketball media days. Both of us will be down there for that. We're going to be, we go to every football game, every basketball game, and you get the written coverage, digital coverage, the shows, and what we think is, the top Boise State coverage out there. So help us out if you can. Subscribe. We'd love to have you become a paying subscriber of Bronco Nation News, and it would mean a lot to us, and it would help us continue to add to our staff and add to our equipment and things like that. So I hope you can help us out and do that. Any final thoughts, Nathan, before we get out of here?
Things are tough on the island, man. Hawaii's got an 18-point lead, and I think Boise State fans, be grateful you never have to go to Laramie. You never have to go to the islands ever again. No, great show. Good team. Not a great team, but a great show.
Awesome show, man. You did a heck of a job. I had multiple texts saying you were doing a tremendous job. So appreciate you for
that, guys.
Anchoring this till I could get up here. And I think it overall went pretty well. Although the goal was to make this shorter. And at this point, I might as well wait 30 seconds so we can get to 2 hours and say we were on for 2 hours. But that was originally the goal. And I saw somebody say in there that I put Brad and Kent Riddle in timeout for some reason. That is couldn't be further from the truth. And we love Brad and Kent. We love them for who they are. Do they make me a little nervous sometimes with some of the stuff they say? No doubt, but there was no punishment, no benching of Ridd and Bedell. It was strictly the James is already closed at midnight, and those guys have things they want to do post game too, and places they want to go. And for the way it worked out, we thought it was just easier to do it in the press box. And that meant having to try to find them credentials and get them back up here. And I just said, you know what? We're going to stream the press conferences too. So why make them sit here for half an hour during the press conferences? They're going to be back ready to roll in all their glory for UNLV pregame, UNLV postgame. There was nothing that with Kent Riddle and Brad Bedell other than the logistics just didn't work out tonight. Yeah, and I give the boys a night off. They work hard. It's a late game. Let them get home and get to bed early, and next week's an early game. What 1:30 kickoff? 1:30. We're gonna have like an 11 a.m. pregame show, and then post-game show will be done 6-7 o'clock next Saturday.
We'll do steak dinner at the James, and we'll go 5 hours with Bedell and Riddle to make it up to you guys. And so
I'd be okay with that.
They've got 5 hours to get those brews in, which I know some of you guys. We had some comments saying these guys are way too sober. I want to drink with the boys.
Well, the bar is right behind us. I guess you didn't make it back there in time before they closed on you. But
no, they closed
Skyship saying it is saying go Raiders. I will throw this out there. I did take the Raiders in my $1,000 Circa Survivor pool. Yes, you heard that correctly. I'm taking a 1-4 team that I just watched in person lose 40-6 and look awful. I am taking them with $1,000 on the line in the Circa Survivor contest, $18.7 million actually on the line. But believe it or not, they were the third highest picked team. Turned out 700 other people took them as well. But go Raiders, and hopefully they can get it done tomorrow and keep me alive in the Circa Survivor. So your boy Harry Balzac saying. I tried to say it without laughing. New dude was very good. I mean, you're not necessarily new, so I don't know what he's talking about there.
Thanks, Harry. I'm not on all the post games, so if you're just a post game guy,
drunk boys are a welcome tonic to Spencer's post game. Yeah, we love Red, we love Bedell. They're great, and they'll be back for the UNLV game. The logistics were just a little different tonight, but 2 hours and 2 minutes, that is enough. We were going to have Prater, but he's got some other stuff going on tonight and can't make it, so you'll be able to hear Prater next week on BNN. And Nathan, appreciate you. We'll have Riley and Rid next Tuesday. We'll have Ball Talk with Sanford and Johnny on Wednesday. You will hear Brad Bedell Monday. Brad does Monday, so Monday morning at 9 a.m. You can hear Brad Bedell for that one, and hear him at 9 a.m. on Monday. So appreciate you guys. Thanks again. This guy did a tremendous job. Great work, Nathan. 2+ hours on the show here, and appreciate you. Great work, man.
Yeah.
Really was. So
hey, thanks to the ICCU chat, the subscribers. You guys make it easy, make it fun. So it's a blast doing it. I mean, what a better thing to do than talk with some friends, talk with some colleagues about Boise State football. Doesn't get better than that.
1,400 plus views on this show. Still here at 1:26 in the morning. Well over 100 watching live on YouTube. So pretty incredible the response tonight. Thank you, Bronco Nation. Appreciate your support. Go subscribe, BroncoNationNews.com. When you wake up tomorrow, you have 3 or 4 new articles and interviews and things that you can watch tomorrow when you wake up. So get some rest, subscribe. We'll see you in the message boards. Great chat in the game thread going on today, and we'll have plenty of discussion in the message boards tomorrow and into the week. And get a little rest and then enjoy watching the football tomorrow. We'll talk to you at 9 a.m. Again, Boise State wins this one. The final score, what was the final score tonight?
41-25.
41-25. That 2-point conversion, depending on what side of the line you were on, may have been a bad beat for you there.
When you get your number matters, guys. Get it early in the week. It was 15 early in the week and moved up to 16.5. Get it early. Make your bets Monday, Tuesdays. That's all I have to say about that.
I couldn't believe when they're going for 2. I was like, some people are like watching this in Vegas or somewhere, and it was,
and it made sense because if you're down 24, if you get 8 here, get 8 again, didn't work out. But,
all right, let's get out of here. 2 hours and 4 minutes, plenty. Thank you, Bronco Nation. Appreciate you. Go subscribe. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Read our coverage tomorrow, and we'll see you at 9 a.m. with Brad Bedell. Again, Boise State remains undefeated in conference play. They now have the nation's longest home winning streak. They're tied with Alabama, 15 straight home wins. They'll look to make it 16 in a huge game against UNLV next week on the Blue. He's Nathan Carroll. Appreciate Kane and Rogers, our intern as well, for the whole BNN crew. My name's BJ Rains. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll see you with Brad Bedell, BNN Live, Monday at 9 a.m. And we'll see you in the message boards at Bronco Nation News and BroncoNationNews.com. Enjoy the win and the rest of your weekend. Take care, everybody.
And final blade of grass. Done. And done. Who knew it'd take 2,007 man-hours to paint 47,962,053 blades of grass? Smells like game day. Whoa, it's not dry yet.